Welcome to the lab, everybody. I'm your host, Joshua Diaz. It's great to be here. And thank you so much, everybody, for showing up. And we have a excellent show for you tonight with some of the best in the business. Got a loaded panel tonight, and I always enjoy this. You're looking at the witness box, really, is what you're looking at here. And Mr. Chris McDonough of the Interview Room and Cold Case Foundation, and Dr. Gary Brucato, both fantastic guests and personal friends of mine. So happy to have you guys. Thank you for being here. It always means the world to me. Dr. Gary is the author of The New Evil, which you can get at any bookstore near you and on Amazon. Make sure to leave a review when you can. And after you give it a read, and you'll love it. I'm telling you, you will. If that's something that you're into, that's right. You won't be disappointed.
I like that you called this a loaded panel.
Yes.
It sounds like you handed out a couple of drinks or something before the
Three Musketeers.
Right. We were loaded, like that kind of loaded.
What's in your coffee?
It's just coffee, but by the end of this conversation, one might be groping for
Hey, what about them Padres?
Yeah, they're great, man. It's awesome. It's
4-3 right now over Seattle.
Yeah. I can't just, every time I think about the Padres, the Giants, and the Dodgers, I get excited. The Giants, I think, are mathematically eliminated from the playoffs by now. And the Padres are good, man. But I will stick with this until I can no longer do it, is that the San Francisco Giants have 3 World Series and the Padres have 0 of all time. So I got to hang on to that.
Yeah. Hang on to it as long as you can, buddy.
They knock on the door every year. They just get denied like Judas every single time.
May change.
Something.
It won't be 30 pieces of silver either. So,
so Dr. Gary, how are you? You look well.
Okay. Thank you. I mean, if you had any idea what I do in a day, the idea of looking well would almost be funny.
Yeah.
I'm feeling roadkill-like, again, because of the exhaustion. But now it looks like this case that we're discussing today, I noticed that in the true crime world, it seems to be pulling the spotlight away from Kohberger. And I have to be honest with you, I'm glad that something is. His name is becoming almost like nauseating at this point. And, I think this case, this is a horrendous one, but there's something about it that has captured the attention of the whole country in a special way. I think it's because, first of all, we can relate to it. The Kohberger case, the average person cannot relate to it because it basically involves some kind of weird person with a fantasy and like an aberrant mind, personality that just wanted to do something. But this case, it's like some kind of family gone to hell story that we could sort of weirdly understand. And there's something about your life being snuffed out at that age, and the idea that there may be dynamics at play that are very kind of diabolical, and I just think it's drawing a lot of attention, and it's interesting. I just was curious what you guys thought about why this particular case is just capturing the country's attention. Do you have any thought about that? Have you noticed it too?
Yeah, I mean, I certainly have, and I know that because Chris was on here with me, I think 4 or 5 days ago, and Chris predicted an arrest within 3 to 5 days. He figured that they were gonna get them on something, and it seems that that's the case. But I think that obviously because there's a 7-month-old child that's missing is obviously a huge deal and a huge how do you understand something like that? But then the story that was given doesn't make sense. And then on top of that, you have the charges that the father has already faced, some unbelievable unbelievable charges that, I mean, it's unbelievable that the man was able to be free for as long as he was. And I think that has added fuel to the fire. And this thing isn't, then yesterday you had all that stuff where people were saying, oh, it was found, and everybody was so quick to say that. And so, they think that they're the police and they want to report, and they go, we found this, or we know this or that, and it's wrong a lot of the time. So there's just a lot of, with this kind of case, which is tragic, to say the least, a lot of crap comes along with it as well. Chris, what do you think about that?
Yeah, why do you think it's capturing the attention of this?
I think because social media has such power today. And I think all of these, one, obviously the child being 7 months. And then, of course, we now have a window into hell.
Yeah.
And these are the things that, we've been dealing with for years. And just, it didn't have the power that it has today to get out there. And, today we have the ability to look inside and, I mean, you've got drones flying over the house. You've got, drones flying over the cops being, searching. Wait, that stuff didn't exist even 20 years ago, 10 years ago. And that's a shift. It's a shift. And law enforcement's trying to figure out how to deal with it while simultaneously trying to find, a 7-month-old baby. And so I'm looking forward to our conversation tonight, but I think the door and the window to hell's been open, and we're able to see inside, and everybody's going, holy crap, I didn't realize that. But, I had a case one time. This family was living in a hotel. It was called the Motel 9. That was the name of the hotel, not Motel 6, the 9. And
I guess inflation.
Yeah, exactly. And it was
Motel 6.
Well, that's okay. And it was Christmas time.
Hotel 15, right.
And there were 4 kids in this house, and we got to check the welfare call. Wow. And I got there, I go up to the door of the hotel, open the door, and it was a disaster. Absolute disaster. And we had to impound the kids. That's what we used to call it. Impound the child with CPS, Child Protective Service.
Yeah.
And we arrested the parents, for neglect, et cetera. But that's what this is all about. This is a family, this wife now sitting in jail saying, oh, well, he's such a great guy. Well, I don't know. I mean, he's only broken the bones of a 10-week-old baby, and you married him. So we'll get into that stuff.
And not only married him, had a child with him. I mean, it does, you kind of do wonder sometimes where people's common sense is. And he obviously has zero common sense. He also has zero self-control. If, he's not only been charged with child neglect, child abuse, he's been convicted. He pleaded guilty to it. I mean, I don't know if you've, and I'm not going to put the photo of the little girl up because that's just not what I do. But there are photos of her floating around in a wheelchair, with like oxygen and, I mean, she's
the child's deceased.
Brain dead. Yeah. Yeah. And he did less than 6 months, some sort of work release, 6-month work release program. And, where he ended up working at Walmart, where he met her, where she was working at Walmart, and you kind of have these, I don't know much of her history, and not much of it has been made. I know that she's a bit older than him, but that they are married, and 2-year-old that was in the house as well, that was removed after Emmanuel went missing. And so, and there is a lot to the family dynamic. It sounds like his brother possibly took his own life as well, you know, and then another brother of his killed his girlfriend and then tried to stage the crime scene as if she did it to herself.
Go figure.
So there's I mean, there's a lot to this. Unfortunately, it's not just one isolated incident. Not that this incident isn't,
Right.
enough to have people thrown in prison for the rest of their ever loving lives,
But Josh, I think because there are probably a lot of people in the audience who have experienced domestic situations like this, I have no doubt of it based on statistics. I think a good place to start the conversation is just to cite the stats on this kind of stuff, just so people understand how common it is. Okay. And that's why it's so fascinating to me when one case becomes like, it gets the spotlight and puts the light on all of them.
Unusual. Right? This is not unusual.
That's why it's so important. So I just want to read, these are stats that you can find on the American SPCC website, which is, I think, the Society for the Positive Care of Children, if I remember. So these are the stats. So this is just amazing to me. This is 4.276 million child maltreatment referral reports were received in 2022. I think that's the last time this data was collected. Okay, just think about that. 4.276 million child maltreatment reports, right? 89% of victims were abused by both parents, right? One or both parents,
by the way.
What?
Which if both parents are involved, that's a shift.
No, but it's saying one or both parents, right? But that's often it's both. Okay. And then it says only 3.096 million children got prevention and post-response services, right? So you're talking about almost 2 million that got nothing, right? I mean, just, just wrap it, well, like 1.5 million almost, right? And then it says that in terms of the breakdown, they say that 74.3% of victims of abuse experience like flat out neglect, right? 17% are physically abused, 10.6% are sexually abused, 6.8% are psychologically maltreated, right? And then it says that the highest rate of child abuse in children is under the age of 1. And you got to understand, we're talking sexual, physical, emotional, right? Okay. And then it says that 66.1% of all child fatalities, I mean, I assume they're talking about as a result of abuse, are under 3 years old. So the kid is like barely able to talk. You see what I'm saying? And then it says that of those who die, the vast majority of them die from neglect. They're neglected to death. 76.4%. And then it says of the ones who die, 42.1% were basically physically abused to death. I mean, that's almost half of them. Almost half of them are physically abused to death. And then it says that, and this is really, really horrifying, that 44.7% of children who die from abuse die before they even reach the age of 1. Okay, boys have a higher fatality rate than girls do, right? And then there's a tiny fragment of them, and this is interesting when you think about the Summer Wells thing. A tiny fragment are being taken away or given away for sexual trafficking, which is, remember that whole thing came up with Summer Wells as a possibility. Yeah. Okay, which means that here's like being abused by family members and like being taken away for that reason is like a tiny fraction in terms of probability. So what you're talking about is the problem is coming from inside the house with a vast majority of these little kids that are killed. And the stats, which are heartbreaking, basically mean when you hear about a little kid less than 1 year old dying, think of the family. Think of the family. And it sounds like that's exactly what the cops did. And but I just wanted to and then this is the worst of all of these statistics, the one that really broke my heart. it says that 50 to 60% of these kids don't even get recorded on a death certificate.
Why is that?
And it's probably because of socioeconomic status, because no one ever knows they were born in the first place.
Well, there's some stuff going on kind of like that here. You know, I've heard rumors, and a lot of this stuff is rumor, a lot of it's conjecture. But it would make sense because it sounds like nobody has seen this baby for quite some time, which is standard again, you know, in a lot of these situations. It's a stage type thing, and that's the police do not believe that there is obviously a kidnapping, because they wouldn't be charged with what they're charged with. And so, you know, you kind of just, you go, well, hopefully they can find the body of the baby to determine possibly the cause of death, because that is helpful in these kinds of cases. Unfortunately, sometimes that doesn't happen. That was kind of the big deal in the Casey Anthony case. It was that you couldn't tell if she was murdered or accidentally died under her watch and then discarded, because there is, according to the law, there's a difference. And they charged her with murder, but could never actually prove that she. Now everybody suspects, or not everybody, but most people suspect that may have been the case. It's not what you know, it's what you can prove. And so that's why it is of the most importance to find this child in somewhat of a timely manner. And I think that, and we'll get into this, we can talk about it here. I don't think Jake's going to tell them the truth.
Well, the reason I wanted to talk about the statistics is that they're so lopsided and so, you know, like statistically, it's like, you know, a mountain of evidence to suggest that most of these things, you don't even have to leave the house to figure out what happened. And it fits just, if it is what you're suggesting, I think, right, that, you know, what he's accused of,
yes,
it's classic. It's a classic story. And, you know, a child under 1 year old, right? And, you know, who it sounds like would have been physically abused, right? And died. And the question then would be, and the mother is also accused, or just accused?
Yes, both of them are charged. Suspicion of murder or murder. I don't know, Chris, could you kind of talk? Is there a difference there?
No, they're both charged with
murder,
homicide. 187.
Neglect, like willful murder, or more like secondary to like over, you know,
right now they're charged
with murder.
187A is the penal code section. So, and
wow.
And then what they'll have to charge after that is murder with malice, which they've already done.
Yep.
And they could even bump it even further than that.
Can you explain the malice part?
Malice is basically, can somebody form the intent to kill? And if so, malice has two prongs, implied. And so, you know, implied malice means, well, they thought about it. And then, of course, specific intent is, yeah, no, they did it. They wanted to do it. So he could be charged, you know, upcharged here if they find out that the baby, if they have evidence that the baby was, you know, as crazy as this is going to sound, dismembered. You know, the fact that they were chasing down a saw, a handsaw, etc. That's never a good sign at all. And I think that also there's a bigger conversation here that I kind of want to jump into with you guys in this thing. We'll wait for Josh to get there. He goes, you're dealing with the dog, and no worries. He'll knock us off the air.
He's done it before.
I'm sorry.
He's done it before.
I know. I'm teasing you. Anyway, so I think there's a much bigger problem here, right? Because, you know, like I said, there's two types of malice, right? There's express malice and implied malice. And express is when there's a manifestation of deliberate intention. Okay, they deliberately go out there to kill somebody. And then implied is, you know, when there's a provocation that that shows up and, they beat the child or whatever. Okay. But the DA has to prove mental state. And what's the mental state of this person? And that's why they charge, malice. Okay. Mens rea is what it's called, right? Evil mind, an evil mind. So how do they get there? Well, they're going to use, the old saying, past behavior is, prediction of future behavior. And so they're going to go back into his life and they're going to figure out what his life, what his life patterns are. And guess what? They already have it. They already have the fact that he spent time in prison for beating and breaking the bones of a 10-week-old baby. And they're going to reverse engineer that all the way back from there. And that's probably what they did in the interview room. I mean, if I was, sitting with this guy, the first place I'd start would be like, so tell me about the first incident you had.
Yeah.
And let him run.
No prison.
But here's the bigger picture I think that we sincerely need to take a look at as a society. And we started tapping on it a little bit last night, Gary, when we wrapped up, our program. And Josh, we need to just look at YouTube. We'll just start there. People cannot be kind anymore. They can't. They don't know how to be considerate of another human being. And now you think about that and you multiply that, okay, into society, a 10,000-fold into society. I mean, think about this. There are over 1 billion videos a month on YouTube uploaded. Just on YouTube, and I'm only using this as the social platform. Okay? Out of those 1 billion videos a month, there is such hatred if somebody else gets something than the other guy. Okay? Now think about that. Who receives the delivery of frustration, hate, malice, if they're not getting what they want? Let's say Jake and this gal here, they're not getting something somewhere. And guess who's paying the price? Children are innocent. The innocence of youth has been stolen. It's been stolen. I've been dealing with this problem since my career, 1982 when I started. I told God I would hunt these guys down. So this isn't new to me or to anybody that's even lived it. These poor kids today that are probably in our chat here, we've lost the ability to be human. We are, we don't have the ability to personalize human existence. And that's how you end up with children that are just getting hammered. Look at our society as a whole. If you go down to 6th Avenue in Los Angeles, or you go down near the Parker Center, there are videos online of human beings eating their own feces, and they're being uploaded on YouTube as entertainment. When you see fights online, nobody goes in and says, stop it. Stop it. It's entertainment. So when we see something like this, do you realize we're starting to see a degradation of what Dr. Gary will talk about how killers start to desensitize their thought process in relationship to how they see their victims. Okay. The reason this is so popular in today's society is look at his eye here. I'm not convinced that he wasn't shaken long before this picture was taken. But think about the reason this young baby here, we're so interested in it, is because that's the level we've gotten to as a society. That's where we're at right now. We're looking at this baby and doing reflective personality, reflection and going, wow, look at this baby. Okay. But if we think about it even further, okay, yesterday, one tweet to the world set this baby on fire. What's going on? Well, I mean, honestly, I have to ask myself, what the heck is going on? And if you say something like this, it's like, opening up, the gladiator gates. Well, you don't know. You're this, you're that. Okay, whatever. Life goes on, but guess what? I worry about this baby. Now they've gone into a rescue mode, a search and rescue, SAR. Right? They brought out search teams with cadaver dogs. They're looking for this baby. And what do they have to worry about? They got to look up and see a drone flying over their head.
I know.
I don't know. That's just my feeling, because I have stood over these babies. I have walked into the bedroom when they're face down in their cribs, and the mother has stuffed them into the mattress.
Well,
but it never made the news. I don't know. It's a new phenomena. I don't know what the answer is personally. I don't know if there is an answer. That's why guys like Gary study this stuff, to tell guys like you and me and our audience that, hey, this is either getting better or it's getting worse. In my lifetime, it's getting worse.
Well,
it is not getting any better.
Statistics bear that out.
And when this becomes, the headline above the fold, the story that captures the national attention, yet on the other side of it, we have on video a guy walking down the street in Manhattan and another guy walking up and executing them on video. And everybody goes, oh, well, he deserved it. You can't have it both ways. Murder is murder. And that's there's a segment of our society, and I think the social scientists will study this for years when we're all gone. And they're going to look back at us and go, they were worse than the Romans. It was sport. Pain and suffering. Great sport.
Yeah, the compassion aspect of humanity.
That's my 2 cents.
Has been stretched.
I'm not hearing you, Josh.
Can you hear me, Dr. Gary?
Yeah, I hear you. I have a lot to say on the subject. I want to hear your thoughts first, and then I'll...
Yes, the house would be a crime scene.
You can't
hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, I can't hear you.
Can you hear Gary?
Hear me?
Maybe Gary, can you hear me?
Yeah.
I can't hear you either. Hang on.
Yeah, just
maybe something switched.
Yeah, reboot.
It's probably my settings. Go ahead.
So, Dr. Gary, what I was going to say was that
it's my settings.
That
he's not you. It's Knucklehead.
It's not you. It's me.
All right, you should be back. Hang on.
All right.
You hear me?
Yeah. Can you hear us?
Anyway,
I don't think you can hear us. Can you hear us?
I'll reboot.
Okay.
Parota mia, quando mossa. Is this? I've never seen anything like this.
The what, yeah, what I was going to say was that obviously social media has a lot to do with the spotlight that gets put on these sort of cases, unfortunately. And there you are, Chris. Can you hear us?
I gotcha.
Yeah, we had that happen. Remember, we had that happen last show.
Yeah.
This happens.
Okay, so go ahead. What's your point?
That's basically, you know, and then again with the you know, everybody wants. Chris and I have talked about this a bunch for years now. Typically, the reason that, you know, when these things break, very, you know, not often do we go live about it, because, you know, I'm not a breaking news channel and the interview room isn't either. And sometimes not sometimes, most of the time, I just like to wait for an official statement from law enforcement. I don't need to be that guy. I don't need to be, you know, I'm not looking for a white Bronco moment. You know what I mean? I don't know if that makes sense or not.
Now, hold on. We have a couple of trolls in the audience, and I've lost my patience with them, so they've got to go. Now you got one talking to Chris. So, but so look, I
just made my point.
Yeah, they make your point. It's okay. I actually my new attitude is that they're just not worth.
I like them. That's good.
Right. These are you know, it's like reducing the mean IQ, and it gets on my nerve. So a couple of things. First of all, the statistics that, you know, that we have bear out what Chris is talking about. Okay, and there are a lot of theories about what that's about. It could be cultural. Some people think that drugs play a huge role. Drugs and alcohol play a huge role in the deterioration of parenting skills, self-control, other things like that. But what's also interesting is that people who are abused and who survive are far more likely to do things that are either criminal or to potentially become aggressive when they are older and so forth, because it's this sort of handing off of pain. You've received it and it gets handed off to the next. Some people react to abuse very differently. They become self-abusing or detached from people, but some people get more aggressive, particularly boys that are abused. And you know, it's like the W.H. Auden poem that says, "I and the public know what all school children learn: those to whom evil is done do evil in return." And I think that there's a lot of truth to that. Now, the other thing is this. I think that part of what is so fascinating about this particular case, and I don't mean fascinating like it's titillating, I mean that's capturing the attention of the public, is that if you treat it almost like a kind of metaphor, you have the story of our culture. What you have is we are like the child, and the people that are supposed to be the parents, the people that used to take care of us, the politicians, the churches, the synagogues, the whatever, that are supposed to be in charge and are supposed to stand for superego, are not doing the job. They're not telling people there are some things that are wrong. Wrong and right have become blurry, and they're doing a lousy job as parents. And as a consequence, the culture is like a child that's being neglected and it's getting cheated out of life. And I think that that's what you want to understand is the culture is sick and abused, and the people that are in charge are not taking care of business in the way that they used to decades ago. And then, of course, we have no respect for them. There's that too. So it's very, very interesting. See, people are saying amen, right, because they get it. And that's great. So I think what happens is that you get this trickle down effect where sometimes even the people in charge treat these people who do terrible things like they're victims. See? Now, this comes up, of course, with the Kohlberger case,
Yeah.
right? I mean, we could talk about that all day.
To your
I
point,
don't want to get
Josh,
off this kid, that this
Josh,
child.
go to
But-
the IDOC website real fast while Dr. Gary's talking.
Right.
Pull up the IDOC website, the Idaho Department of Corrections. This is a really great point, Gary, where you're going.
Oh, I know.
Okay.
I think I know what you're about to say.
Okay, but I didn't want to cut you off, but I want
No,
I think it what you're saying has so much validity to it.
Mhm.
Okay. And
For Idaho?
yeah, Idaho Department of Corrections. This is where that guy is.
I think what Chris is saying is that it applies to all of these cases. It's a
Yeah.
cultural thing. And it has something to do with the superego, the conscience, the whatever that comes from outside of yourself and is supposed to compensate for our animal instincts is not there. For example, when I look, all the wrong people tend to have kids, you know what I mean, when it comes to crime, right? These people have children. I've never been blessed with children. I'd be father of the year, but I never had any, right? It drives me crazy. But the thing is, if I had children, and in many ways, I've been a father figure to many students and to patients and to people in my family and so forth. And one of the things that I'm always saying to them is that you're going to have impulses that are very animal and angry. You're going to want to thrash out at people who hurt you. You're going to want to do the selfish thing. You're going to want to eat the last cookie when there are other people in the room. You're going to want to say something inappropriate to a person. You're going to have sexual impulses. You're going to have all those things. But to be human, what makes you different than an animal is you inhibit it. And the reason you inhibit it is love. That's the whole point. And in doing that, it's like a little crucifixion. You deny the self out of love. And that's how you imitate God.
So,
but that's what I think is missing. Now what happens is a person in charge says to you, you go get what's yours. You knock that guy right in the eye. You take what's yours, honey. That kind of thing. And as a result of it, love is thrown out the window like it's some sort of inconvenient thing. And what you get are relationships that are sick and families that are sick and then a culture that's sick. That's where I think Confucius was right. If the house gets toxic, the culture gets toxic because it's just a bunch of houses.
yeah,
And you get what I'm saying, Chris?
absolutely. And Josh, look under prisons, go under that link. Okay. Go down to resident
I saw
services.
this and I know just what you're about to say. It's hard. It drives me crazy.
Where to? Community?
No, yeah, you just click on the resident services. Just click on that. Okay. First shift in culture. Now go down the other way, where it says resident services. Okay. They don't even use the words inmate anymore. They're residents.
Yeah, right.
So department has become the residence inn. Department of Corrections is no longer, it says the Idaho Department of Corrections understand the value and support of family and friends as part of the rehabilitation process. The rehab process has replaced punishment.
Right.
And our society has embraced this. Our society has embraced this. So here's a question for society. In 1939, only 1/3 of the German people supported Adolf Hitler. Only 1/3 of the German people supported Adolf Hitler. We are reliving 1939 as a culture. Anti-Semitism, racism, all these other things are going on. And there is no punishment. No wonder this guy exists.
Yeah.
Because the system in California said, oh, you broke the bones of a 10-week-old? okay, well, you get, you only get a little piece here. And then, you know what, we'll, thanks a lot for being here. You've been rehabilitated. Go out and have a great day.
Well,
We need to have a paradigm shift. A paradigm shift. Now think about that. 1 out of 3 Germans in 1933 to 1939 supported what happened to millions and millions. We forget that Mussolini killed 22 million of his people. We're not even counting that guy. It was a lot. And now we have a society that says, oh, you want to shoot that guy in the back because he's a CEO of a corporation and we hate that? Go ahead. Yeah, free Luigi. In fact, what we need to do is start a GoFundMe page. Like the bus is coming, but you failed to lift the baggage compartment and see what's in there. Remember that story? Men are like buses.
Mm-hmm.
This guy here for you is 4 years worth of appointments. Okay. And, and she looks at him and goes, oh, I'll fix him. No, you won't. You need to have an honest opinion. You need to be, honest with yourself. And that's what I keep saying, even about this. I think we're getting to a point in society where we need to have an honest conversation about how far this is going to go. And I say that coming from a family, a father who fought in 3 wars, World War II, Korea, and Vietnam. I say it living through the Vietnam War, watching the streets in the 60s and the 70s, and, people can, I had one guy the other night say, he called me grandpa. Yeah, I am a grandfather. I have 5 grandkids and they're all successful, a lot more than that guy. Okay. But you see that
insult?
Well, he said I was 79 years old and I should go back to whatever. I was like, yeah, okay, whatever. The fact that, I'm still working every single day, I will outlast that guy forever. But here's the point. Okay. Here's the point.
Gotta love trolls.
Yeah, I don't care. It's their problem. It's not mine.
Well,
They've never stood over a dead body. So, they can, everything they learned, they can't, came from the internet. Just ask, Abe Lincoln. I have a bunch of memes. Everything I learned about police work, I got on Google. Awesome. Good for you. Hey, but I don't want to lose my train of thought here. Right. We're getting to a place now where it is so prevalent, okay, to hate. We're getting, no, I'm not 79, but thank you. I hope I look this good at 79. However, we're at a place now.
He's 89.
Yeah.
417.
I want to go to the blue zones. I want to live in one of the blue zones where I'm 104.
He's gonna get one of those, like in the old days when you couldn't hear, and they would put that horn.
Oh, the horn.
Like you see in the cartoons, you get that. You gotta put that in your hey.
I've got 4 of them. I had a comment under my thing. 2 ears. I got 2 of those horns. I had a comment under the thing we did last night. One of them says, you guys are the 3 Stooges. And I answered it like this.
Yeah. Who were the 3 Stooges? Me, you, and John Lamb?
Yeah. So we've got to think about and this is such an important case that you're bringing up, Josh, here.
Yeah.
I think we have to think about where we are as a culture and a society, and we have to get out of this. Okay. We got to get out of these things And admittedly so, these things we've become cyborgs. Okay. And we've lost the ability to communicate. When was the last time you saw a child sitting next to an elderly man or an elderly woman and saying, "Can you tell me about your life? What's it going to be like for me?" They don't care. The society does not care anymore. We're able to have, keyboard warriors that say, "Oh, that guy's 79 years old and he should go away." Okay.
Nobody said that.
50, yeah. $100 says you don't have a job. I'll raise it to 500 that you don't have a job. Come to my office and I will outpace you because you're probably got a 20-pack of McNuggets with sweet and sour sauce. Okay. And you probably ordered it on the app. Okay. I don't use an app. I go inside because I need the exercise. Okay.
Are you guys having fun playing Whack-A-Troll?
This is great. I love it. I absolutely love it.
I've hit my limit because the person that I was frustrated with, it's so endless now that it's like, and I don't understand why across different shows.
I've lost my patience with people. I think it actually happened last night.
Oh, this is no different than having them in the back seat and spitting, and you get to put the net on their heads, right? And I'm gonna kill your family. I'm gonna kill your dog. And okay, yeah, I've been used to that. Let's go. Hey, are you going to be at CrimeCon? Yeah, I'm going to CrimeCon for the very first time.
Special people at CrimeCon.
I can't wait. I think the people there are going to be amazing. I do. I do. I've never gone. Karen and I got our tickets. We're going to be there and we're going to have fun. And hopefully I get to meet many of you there. And, we're going to just have a blast.
A lot of them would be lovely people. Some of them look like that Star Wars bar, with like bizarre. And then there's going to be some people that are downright horrible. And I know because I've been there. And what'll happen is you're going to get some people that treat it like it's like real life online chat. They just don't have the screen to hide behind. And they come up and they say these horrible things. And you're like, you're the person that's saying those things. Like, get away from it. And, and it's like knocking off a mosquito. And you just go, get away from it. And that's the end of it. And then you're going to deal with some people that are lovely, that are going to tell you how much you've affected their lives. And, but what happens is that people feel entitled to come up to you, and, and then you're going to get the networkers. You're going to get people that are going to come up to you and say, "I'd love it if you would do this with me and you do that with me." And that's awesome. But it attracts a special, there are a few little specials in there.
I have not fallen off a turnip truck.
Yeah. You know what I'm talking about.
I love watching the chats and the people that troll me. The cool thing about that is there's a little button that says block.
Yeah, you don't get that in real life.
While they're in there trashing me on the channel, the people in the chat are trashing me.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I just block them. I literally sit there for like 15 minutes and go, how many do I want to do tonight? Oh, that McDonough, oh, goodbye. Oh, there's a good one. Bye. And then they come whining back to my channel as if they were, supporters of the interview room. Don't be a hypocrite. I would rather that you be either warm or cold, for I will spew you out of my mouth, saith the Lord.
Yeah, well, when people start making you think of the book of Revelation, something's up with them.
Right? Don't play both sides of the coin, because I don't play that game. Remember, I'm 79 years old, according to the book of trolls. Okay?
The book of trolls, thou art.
I'm 79. And when I see that, okay, I'm actually trolling you. because I love it when you come back and you beg. I want to say something in your chat. No, you don't get to, because you are no different than this guy in the field to me.
Right. Well, I just will say, because I do lose my patience with it, that I wouldn't mind a person who was adamant about making a point that was true or intelligent. But the point that this person, air quotes, is trying to make is that they believe that in our narrative that Bundy was a primary inspiration for Koberger, that we were completely wrong because it turns out it was Danny Rolling. Now, I want you to understand that if you look at this, as I understand the Celebrite information, he was looking at Danny Rolling after the murders. He was downloading and reading about and cosplaying about as Bundy for months before the murders. But somehow, in the mind of this individual who is riddled with fallacies, this can somehow, we can go back in time and place Rolling before the murders as the primary inspiration, and the frequency of looking at Bundy is insignificant, and this makes us wrong, and everything else we said in our profile and everything else we were right about is thrown out the window, right? So what you have to picture here, and then on top of it, the person had the unmitigated gall to write a long thing to me in the voice of Hannibal Lecter, quoting Hannibal Lecter. Right. I mean, do you understand what I'm dealing with here? So that's why it's like annoying with stupid on top, and then like a big scoop of, wrong-headedness, and then add on top of it a really bad attempt to sound like Hannibal Lecter, and you've got all of the qualities that make me itch. And unfortunately, those kind of people like it. So it'll keep happening. So that's my statement on it. And the next time the person appears, I'm going to quietly say boot them and not say anything else about it. But I'm done with this individual.
Yeah.
Now,
and if people want to know my age, I'm 66. Right. For the record. Okay. So that's and you know what? I'll still run you into the dirt. I will outpace anybody who is a keyboard warrior.
Right. I think you'll do some running at CrimeCon. So get ready to run. Get your sneakers.
Oh yeah, easy.
I don't know. I think I have some like emotional separation because I don't even delete people half the time. Like I don't even care.
Well, I know I don't either. That's why I let them say whatever they want to say. I'm just saying it because Gary brought it up. Our friend here he's getting hammered somewhere.
Yeah, and I can't take the person. But I'm done speaking about it. I mean, I'm done. I promise.
I mean, and the other thing that they forget is I still work. Meaning I investigate murders every day, every single day. Well, some people, they're like, well, that guy's retired. Yeah, I'm a retired homicide detective from my agency, but I'm still working homicides with a new situation. Okay. So, and
having had all that experience, I want to ask you honestly, they're going to find this baby.
Chris thinks that they will.
I think so.
Yeah. Yeah, I do too. I mean, but I don't think that Jake is going to be the one that leads them to him. And, mom sounds like she might be a completely lost cause because she still, I mean, to say that he's a good father and that they're innocent and that she, the story that she told is true. Or she's saying that the story that she told is true. It's just not. And I think a lot of that has to do with why this case got on, because a lot of times when people tell a story so bold that it's too bold to be true, it usually is, this has all the elements of things that get picked up by the media. And, there was a case in, I believe it was West Virginia. And if there's any West Virginians in here, This happened 3 or 4 years ago. I can't remember exactly how old she was. Her name was Angel Nicole Overstreet. I think she was 6 months, 5 something, very young.
That rings a bell.
Yeah, and dad, said that he had dropped her off back with CPS, and CPS said, no, you didn't. We never got her. He was telling local PD, I dropped, and this went on for quite some time. And, it for some reason, I mean, it did get picked up, but not like this. And, I was glued, to the entire, situation, and he was eventually charged with murder. They never found her body though. Never. It's really hard to find little babies. Chris, you know that.
Breaks my heart.
Like if you were to hide me, it'd be a lot easier to find me than a 7-month-old baby. I mean, that's just, it's unfortunate and it's sick to even think about.
San Francisco Giants hat. That's a dead giveaway right there.
That would be sticking out somewhere.
Anyway. Let me ask a very painful question, okay? That's been bothering me. Do you think they buried this baby or just dumped him? If they did this, do you think he's actually buried, lovingly hidden? I mean, hidden for, to try to not get caught. Or do you think this is one of these horrendous situations, like you open the car and discard?
Not if this is the area, because that 60 right there,
if you have to say,
has tens of thousands of cars go by that every single day. It's too high risk. Even at night, you would see the taillights off onto that service road down there, and they're not going to take the time. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if they threw the kid just out of the car.
Well, that's what I'm asking, because you're dealing with somebody that, if this person's guilty, was probably pretty impulsive and emotional.
Leticia Hernandez was thrown out of the car.
Criminal, right? If he's guilty.
What's that, Chris?
Leticia was thrown out of the car. Huh? The suspect grabbed her after he murdered her and just tossed her over the side. And, because it was too risky. It was a high risk situation. It's a high risk situation with Summer. It's a high risk situation with Sebastian. They had time with him, whoever that person is. They had time. Whenever you get a child, you have 3 hours. You have 3 hours from a law enforcement agency's perspective. And if, in fact, you don't get some type of lead that's pulling you in to that 3-hour time frame, then the statistics go very high that the child is deceased. Not always. I think it's like 68%. And it's usually typically within a mile to a mile and a half of the house.
Right.
Okay. Those numbers are solid. They've been solid for 40 years. And the idea that this child was taken potentially 22 miles away from his house, because that's how far the search site is.
Right here is 22 miles from his home.
You anticipated my question. That's great, Chris. That's a big clue.
Right. So they either they killed the child back at the house, which I'm going to lean towards. And then again, we go back to, did they try to, dismember the boy? I mean, something very horrible to think about. And, kind of like an Emily Pike thing, throw her in bags.
Yeah.
Or, and move her from the first crime scene to the secondary crime scene. This would be considered a secondary, maybe even a third crime scene. They may have a garage. They may have, in one of the rooms. They're going to run luminol. They're going to run an alternate light source through it. They're going to run cadaver dogs through the house. and they're going to see if they get any kind of hit. Okay. And once they have that, they're going to pull the parents aside and say, hey, we got a problem. What's up? There's blood in your house. How'd it get there? And it's not just blood. There has to be a substantial amount of blood evidence.
Right. It basically, they would say, hey, this isn't, you didn't, nick yourself on the cabinet. There's a pooling of blood here. Do you have any explanation as to why? Did somebody cut their finger off on accident, or is that documented? Did anybody? So yeah, you're exactly right. And I was going to ask you on the suspicion, what do you need to arrest on suspicion of murder?
Well, you have a pattern of life that the child has disappeared. And if you have forensics evidence back at the house that indicates that, there is, what they will do is they'll if they found blood, immediately they're going to send it to the San Bernardino Crime Lab.
Yes. Okay.
And
that's the closest to this?
Yeah, it's San Bernardino Sheriff's Department. This is major crimes unit there. So these guys and gals know what they're doing. This is a lot.
Right. This is not their first rodeo.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
I like it when you do the search in my pictures at the top.
Dude, what
the heck was that?
But why do they do that to you every single time with the thumbnail?
I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, because
right.
It's like
no, you look great. I'm just saying.
Oh, an arrow.
Like, yeah. Sometimes I'll just be going through. I go, oh look, there's Chris.
I love it.
That I don't want to lose my train of thought, because what does it take to hook this guy up? Well, if you have obviously the totality of the circumstances, a 7-month-old baby just vanished, then you do everybody knows now what we do is the victim continuum. Is there high risk, low risk, or medium risk? Where do they put them? Okay. What's the environment, situation, circumstance? Everything in this case pointed towards a potential medium risk, but the child and himself, because of the age, put the child at a very low risk of, I think what kicked this thing really into high gear is Ola. When mom says, yeah, I'm changing his diaper, Ola, boom. Yeah, okay, sure. And I've got, neon lights on my forehead that says, hey, I must be really stupid. Let's run with that, shall we, tonight?
Right.
Okay. Ola this, Ola, you're going to jail now that she's in the the bullpen there, i.e. the interview room. You walk in and you say, now you could say, Ola, would you like some water? I'll be right back. Or you can just walk in and say, look, we got a problem with your story. Your husband over there is telling us that you killed your baby. I didn't kill my baby. Okay. What happened? I mean, with a child, you can be that direct. With somebody like other, murderers and that kind of thing, you're going to have to kind of dance. Okay. But remember the other night I was here and I said, they're going to have them within 5 days.
Yeah, I remember.
Okay. Nailed it.
Nailed it.
It
was like 2 or 3 days later. And the mother we were just talking about, and usually I don't pay attention to this kind of stuff, but I watched her interview initially a lot. I saw her a lot. She dyed her hair in between time. It looks like she was like dyeing her hair in the last week. I don't know. To me, I think that's weird. I don't know. That would probably not be something on my mind.
Yeah, I mean, again, it just goes towards consciousness of guilt. That is the child.
That's crazy.
Well, there's a disassociation there.
It's so weird to me, man.
Well, it's very interesting because in my experience, and remember, the construct of elimination murder is something I've described. I mean, that's a term I've introduced. Has to be contrasted from a situation where somebody becomes emotional and kills a child in the process of attempting to discipline them or quiet them, or because of rage or something like that. In the latter, when that happens, you don't tend to have these very elaborate stories about an outsider coming in and stealing the child and taking them away and this, that, and the other thing. That tends to happen in elimination murders, where the child is an impediment to freedom, or they're a burden because they've got health issues, or you just don't want to be a parent, or you have no money, or whatever. And, you know, or Susan Smith getting rid of the children because she wanted a new romance. In those kind of elimination murders, the story is almost always the same. And you saw this in the Murdoch case, which I think was also about elimination murder. It's always like some person came in and committed this offense, and they're an unknown stranger and whatever. And those details are always ridiculous and elaborate and all of that. And that's what you got going on here, is that it's the manufacturing of an elaborate outsider story. And when that happens, you have to start thinking about, well, then, based on statistics and based on my experiences, that it usually implies that there was more of an intentionality, where the idea is that you want to eliminate somebody who's kind of in the way, that you don't really care about very much. What this could also be is a situation where somebody just becomes emotionally overwhelmed and beats someone and they die. And then what usually happens in that case is that there's an equally disorganized way of trying to eliminate the remains. So you take them and put them right outside in the yard. You drive somewhere and open the window and hurl the remains out. You dismember. So in other words, the organization level matches the anger. That's very different than when it's an elimination killing. Usually it's more methodical. So then the person will meticulously hide the body, elaborately hide them off, make up a whole story in a cool-headed kind of way, even though it's got holes in it. So what I'm asking is, do you think that the evidence right now, if these people are guilty, is more suggestive of some kind of chaotic, emotional, angry impulse thing, or more of an elimination murder where somebody's in the way and then you make up a meticulous story? Because I think the story is so full of holes, it wasn't well planned. It feels more impulsive to me. I mean, I'm just curious. I mean, Chris, you know what I'm talking about with organization level and how it reveals a lot in a profile. So what do you think? I mean, what do you guys think about what I'm suggesting?
One of the two parents beat the crap out of the baby.
No question.
And now they have a bag of concrete, and they got to figure out how to get it out of the house.
So you say disorganized and emotional.
Yeah, I think it was whatever it's going to be. It's impulsive, but that's why they charge him with malice. You know, that's why it's very specific, you know, to these kind of problems, because you have to prove that it was an express malice, not implied. Remember, there's two types, right? Meaning it has to be the intent of the person. What was the intent of the father or the mother, whoever hit the child or whatever? I think we can all agree at this point, without even having the body, that baby got beaten.
It's the primary way that children die in those situations. It's usually a bludgeoning or a shaking or striking that leads to death.
Right.
And usually an ambient object.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Well, there's two things that I want to I want to get to, and I have not listened to her interview.
Neither have I. I've avoided it.
So I want to hear that. And then there was also a guy, he was an attorney, and the chat keeps referencing it because he kind of was it felt like he's dog whistling, but he's saying that if they don't find the baby soon, that they may have to release the mother and father.
It all depends. You have 72 hours. Okay. But the DA could file a no body homicide. They do it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And it's up to the defense it's up to the prosecution to show that there's no life. Okay. That the burden falls on the prosecution. Okay. That's not going to be hard when you're talking about a 7-month-old baby that just arbitrarily vanished. Remember the videotape of this incident, the fact that she may have picked a place without video. Okay. That's actually detrimental to her.
Yes, very much
because,
so.
because now she's got to prove that somebody came up and said hola and knocked her out and took the kid. Okay. With a dirty diaper.
Right.
I mean, that happens every day, right?
Yeah, and the thing is, and I get people are kind of up in arms about what was said by this, attorney, and I heard it. I did listen to it. He doesn't know what they have. He doesn't know what evidence they have. He's just there filling time. That does not mean that this is what. Look, they could have a lot of blood that belongs to Emmanuel, and they could have a story that they've got locked in that they're comfortable with. Or they would have waited longer to arrest them. I personally, I don't think that they're going to drop. I don't think that even if they do, they can refile at any moment. I mean,
not only that, you can dismiss without prejudice and you come back and rearrest them. But I don't think they're going to do that. I think what's going on right now is they hook this guy up because they took their time and they let them say what they needed to say. Remember, how many times have I preached, you do not have to arrest murder suspects right away? Okay.
Yeah. Yes.
Let's use Koberger's car as a perfect example of what I just talked about Sunday.
I see where your thoughts going.
The cops found the car on that. First of all, they knew about it on November 25th, and they went and they found the car on the 28th. They even got his name. It was such a good match. They ran his name from the car and they got his driver's license information. It is in the affidavit. Okay. And they even said, the officer said, wow, this guy even has the bushy eyebrows, like the kind of guy we're looking for. Okay. So here's what they could have done. Hey, we've got a white Elantra. This is not rocket science. Okay. Where is it? It's over here at WSU. Okay. They will have us believe right now, the chief anyway, says, oh, well, we made a mistake. You made a mistake? What? You didn't make a mistake. Okay. Something's going on behind the curtain here at River City because you've got a quadruple homicide suspect. And if in fact you made a mistake and let that guy drive away, you didn't know if he was armed and dangerous, and the two cops that stopped him in Indiana, their lives were in jeopardy. Period.
Correct.
Okay, so here's where I'm going. They could have knocked on the door and they could have flushed that whole thing out that night. Even if he would have said, you know what? Yeah, I do have a car, and that is my car. Okay, what are you doing here? Then you could interview him, just like they did here. They let her tell the story. The cops let her tell the story. They didn't care if she was going to run. They didn't care. They're looking for a potentially a deceased child. So they're going to let her go out there and tell the world, in her, all of that. Great. That's beautiful. Excellent. And I'm sure the attorney in the chat will tell you never want to see that in a trial.
Well, he actually went on KTLA and
well, that good for him. That's what he's supposed to do.
Look, I get it, but what I'm saying is that look, all they need to do to keep her, because he's violated his probation or his parole already. The guy's going to jail one way or the other, but obviously they want to cook him on this because he is charged with murder. But they just have to prove that she lied.
No, but tomorrow is probably an arraignment, right? It's an arraignment.
Yeah, something's tomorrow. Yeah.
Okay, so the court's going to say, okay, how do you plead? Guilty, not guilty. Okay, not guilty. Okay, fine. Do you have enough money for an attorney? No. Okay, here's a court-appointed attorney from the public defender's office. Okay, you, sir, Jake, you already had an attorney because your guy's out there blasting off into the news. He's represented you on other cases. Okay, so do you want him today? Yeah. Okay, you're appointed. Done. 10-8. All units cleared. And everybody's going to go back to the jail cell. Okay, they're not going to let these two people go and say, Your Honor, we don't have enough evidence yet. Yeah. That happens at the preliminary hearing.
Right.
Okay, tomorrow's just an arraignment. And that's going to buy him even more time. We don't know if he's going to be arraigned on a probation violation. Has he been cleared from probation or parole?
No.
For his first offense?
No.
Okay, so his arraignment tomorrow could be a violation of probation.
Well, he was, I think it was supposed to be in early September that he had court again because he had purchased a gun and he's a felon on parole or probation. I can't remember which one of them. And also something about a known drug user in possession of a firearm as well, or something along those lines. So, he's not like they didn't wait, a week to arrest them just to go, what, we're just kind of bluffing here. We don't have, because when you arrest them, Chris, what do you always say? When they're arrested, you do what? You start the clock, correct?
Yep.
And the clock has started. And, there was a question that says, how long does it take for forensics to come back? They obviously would want something like this, go to the front of the line. They would like to expedite this because time is of the essence. And I believe that once they seized his car, when they did, and they took tons of stuff, from inside the house. I mean, they were digging. They even had I think geologists out there, and they have tons and tons of resources that they brought out there. They have something. They wouldn't just say we believe he's dead, just willy nilly, and they certainly wouldn't have a guy out on the side of the road that is accused of this saying, "Hey, where is he? Can you help us with this?" And I think that you were right on the money with it. They got him in an interview room. They pinned him down. He started telling this story that probably was not even remotely true. And they said, okay, well, put your money where your mouth is. They did that with Casey Anthony when she was with detectives. She hadn't been under arrest yet, but they said, you work at Universal Studios. She said, yes. One of the most diabolical things I've ever heard somebody do. They said, yes, I work at Universal Studios. He said, can we see your office? Sure. So they're walking down this hall. The cops are looking at each other. They're like,
okay, let's also take this one other step. Okay. The DA's office tomorrow, let's say they're going, okay, what do we got here? Well, we've got dad here in violation of parole. Okay, felon in possession of a handgun. Okay, well, we can pit him. Let's put him in the happy cage, and let's just feed him. Okay, everybody's happy. Okay, so he goes away, no matter what. Okay, if his parole and probation is still active and current, and he has a PO, etc. Okay, the PO can do it. The probation officer can do it in about 5 minutes with a piece of paper. Okay, you're done. Have a good night. You're going to stay here till we're done, till all the forensics comes back. Right. With mom. What do they have on mom? Okay, well, you have mom who says, hey, we're not really sure about all this stuff. Okay, I was bonked by Mr. Ola, okay, in the head, and he knocked me out. And then he stole my baby in a dirty diaper. Okay, Your Honor, here's what we have with the people. What do you have, state of California? Well, we've got this big story here, and we have the co-defendant in this, Your Honor, saying that she did it. And in fact, he took us out on the freeway to try to go look for the victim. Oh, okay, well, that's enough. What are you charging her with, Mr. DA? Right now, Your Honor, we're charging her with 187A with malice. Okay, thank you very much. Do you have an attorney? No. Okay, we're going to get you an attorney. Okay, boom. And then they go to the prelim. We used to call it a parliamentary hearing. It's a preliminary hearing. Okay, and they only put on a very small probable cause, enough evidence to believe that the person committed the crime. Okay, just a little. You don't need all the bells and whistles, the ducats or anything like that. You just need to know, okay, that there's enough here for the judge to say, yep, I believe there's enough probable cause to believe you committed this crime.
Yes.
And they hit him. Okay. Now you got both of them. You don't even have to take the other guy. You don't even have to take Jake if he's got the parole violation. You can wait for him if he's the main guy just by holding him in on the parole violation.
Hey, we're going to listen to this video really quick, but I want to say this, and I wanted to kind of wait until we were, into the crux of the show. But I received word before we got on air that Brandy Neil Vaughn has been airlifted to a Utah hospital with internal bleeding, and they're not sure where it's coming from. And I hope that we can keep her in thoughts and prayers, because she needs it. And what they did to her child is literally killing her inside. I mean, it's just so I wanted to just bring that up, because she really needs all the prayers and vibes that anybody can send out, so, and we'll let's go ahead and listen to this interview. Well, I got to slow down all the way.
Are also following developing news from the Inland Empire, where the search continues for 7-month-old Emmanuel Haro, who is presumed dead. Investigators say the baby's parents faked his kidnapping. KTLA 5's Jillian Smuckler live in San Bernardino with the very latest in this investigation. Good morning.
Good morning, Lou. Yeah, major developments in just the past 24 hours for that search for 7-month-old Emmanuel. Now, what we could tell you is that his father was spotted over the weekend searching for his body, while his mother gave her first jailhouse interview, maintaining her innocence and standing by her story, saying she's committed to finding her son. Now, Rebecca and Jake Haro, they were arrested at their home in Cabazon on Friday on suspicion of murder with malice. They arrested the couple 8 days after the baby's mother reported that Emmanuel had been stolen from her, all while she was changing his diaper in the parking lot of a Big Five. But in a jailhouse interview with a Southern California News Group reporter yesterday, she maintained her innocence despite law enforcement accusing the couple of killing their son. She reportedly said she isn't giving up on her baby and that she wished she were out searching for him. She also allegedly shook her head when asked about rumors that days before she reported the kidnapping, she went to the Big Five, told employees that her car was burglarized, and asked whether the business had surveillance cameras. Now, her husband, Jake, also made headlines over the weekend. He was spotted wearing an orange jumpsuit yesterday looking for his missing baby. He was searching a remote area in Moreno Valley with detectives. It is still unclear what led them there, given it's about 10 miles south of where Emmanuel was first reported missing. But after an hours-long search yesterday, investigators say Emmanuel's body still has not been found. Now, the couple is standing by their story of what exactly happened to their baby, and they're expected to make their first court appearance tomorrow at the Riverside Hall of Justice.
How is that possible, Chris? If they're sticking by the story, but he's out on the shoulder of a highway, how's that possible?
It's not.
Does that make any sense at all?
No.
I was also very confused about this whole thing. Yeah.
Back out here.
Go ahead.
No, it's not possible. I mean, you have this guy in, and I'm telling you what's gone down here. I'll put dimes to donuts on it, and I'll raise you 5 trolls. Okay.
Yeah. Gary's got one for 5 going on.
That's a big search. Okay. That's a big bet here too. Okay. What's happened is he's realized he's out of gas. I need a deal. I need something, or I need to tell you. And they said, fine. Okay. Let's, what do you want to do? Because we want to find the baby. I know you want to find the baby. You want to help us. He goes, yeah, I do. I promise. Okay, fine. We'll take you. Where do you want to go? You're going to show us. Okay. So they go through all of the communication with the jail. They get all the search and rescue people. They get everybody, and they say, okay, we're going on a road trip with, I don't know, Ola. Okay. We're all going. Okay. And they get out there. Home Fries gets out of the car in his wonderful orange summer attire.
It looks nice.
Okay, with his waist chains on and all this other stuff.
I got him.
Fries.
Yeah. You never heard Home Fries before?
Yeah.
That's hysterical.
And you get and you get him out and you say, okay, where do we want to go here? We'll follow you. And he goes off onto his little walk. Do we have video of him being escorted out there? I know this picture here, but do they have video of him? Now he's going back here. It looks like he's done here. I want to see him leaving from the car, going out into the field.
Let me check here. Hold on. Not sure.
Because a lot of times these guys are like, yeah, okay, I'm gonna show you. Now, if they've lied, okay, then it becomes, a dance. It's, we'll call it the rattlesnake dance, right? Because they're also looking for snakes that only get bit. Okay. And, you let them go and play the game. Okay, fine. And then you pull them aside and say, you know what, where should we be looking? Now you got a couple of things going on there as well. You've got the terrain, number one, in of itself. You've got these canyons there. So the scent for cadaver dogs, depending on the wind, can become very difficult. The dog has to hit that wind, and that scent has to be coming down that valley almost instantaneously where the dog is. So that can be very difficult for even a cadaver dog in those types of search environments because you have hills on both sides of you. Okay, so that wind reflects off of the hill on one side and then the other side. Okay, and that's probably the dog handlers there, those two that were in their little orange vests. And so the dog may or may not hit on where that little guy is. Now you also have to take in consideration how much time is passed here. Is it a month? Is it 2 months? So now the dog, the body's still not completely decomped. A small one like this, depending on the temperature, yeah, he could be just gone, just bones. And now, but then you're going to have animal activity.
That's the thing you got to really, I think that's something that they were probably maybe counting on, unfortunately.
Yeah, the animals are just going to take the smaller bones and bring them back to their nest, and that kind of situation. But what the believe it or not, you get rats, squirrels, that kind of stuff takes the hair, okay, of the scalp. The hair will just fall off the scalp, and it will leave just either the mandible will separate and the skull will be there, but all the other bones of the body could be spread all over the place from animal activity. And they, at this point, he's going, okay, yeah, I'm helping, but he's trying to figure out a deal. And mom here, she's not realizing what he's doing. Look at how she's breathing through the clutched teeth. Okay, that's a sign of deception. That is not truthful in any way, shape, or form. Okay? And look at this little guy.
Yeah.
And this is the mission. That's the mission that they're on. They're not going to put matching bracelets on these two people unless they know, okay, we've got something more going on here. They may have them on surveillance somewhere with the baby. They may even have them on the traffic cameras on the 60 driving up there. They may have some citizen driving by with a dash cam and go, hey, I saw this car over there and I saw this dude up there. Okay. So a lot of this is stuff we don't know yet, and we won't know it tomorrow either. We won't know the strength of the state's case. And whenever you get a defense attorney trying to get ahead of it, remember Ann Taylor, Your Honor, I know for a fact my client is innocent. Really? Okay. Here's a bong, take a hit. Okay. You were wrong. Okay.
We had somebody in the chat named Bong Master. Don't delete Bong Master because he brings the fire.
Yeah, and there's a lot of good ganja in California. You get your Acapulco, you get your Michoacan, you get your red, whatever you need, right?
Train wreck.
Yeah. You're up in the Northern Cal, up there in Murder City, up there.
There we are.
Murder
Mountain, but I live a ways away from it.
Yeah, they got Murder Mountain. They got the digital footprint probably on this guy. They may have blood in his car. Okay. They may have all kinds of stuff in that vehicle. Blast it with luminol, see what pops out. Okay. At Caroline Miller, Acapulco Gold. That's right. Back in the day. Remember Cheech and Chong?
Yeah, oh, yeah.
There you go.
Leave Bong Master alone.
So this is the movie.
There's somebody in my chat that goes to both shows named Bong Master, and they're very engaged.
Bong Master is cool. Yeah. Remember the guy, hey man, you want to buy a diamond? And he cuts his windshield. Hey man, what are you doing to my windshield, man?
Yeah.
Chong, love them. Absolutely love it. Okay, anyway, so that's what's going on. I think these are probably the dog handlers, search and rescue, SAR. And they pulled them out and said, hey, we got a kid right here. Let's go. And they didn't find him. And now here's the interesting thing. I've had cases that where it's field search like this, it's a body dump like this. In fact, the exact same type of terrain. Okay. And we went out there. Her name was Lynn Diamond. Hi, Lynn, if you're out there. And she had a dog named Scout, and he was a cadaver dog. And we hit the place, and Scout was one of the best dogs going at that time, and he didn't find anything. A couple days later, I snuck back there with Lynn. No press, no nothing. We had the media there for the first search. We did find another dead guy, though.
Really?
Yeah, we found another dead guy. Yeah, my partner ended up pulling that case. And it was a drug deal gone bad, and they shot him and left him in the brush. But we did find him. Okay, we didn't even know. So, while I'm searching for this lady, he ended up pulling that caper. Anyway, just to get back to the thought process here, a couple of days later, I called her up. I said, "Hey, I want to go back out there." And she's like, "Well, we just hit that place, and I got to get permission from my supervisor because they're the sheriff's department." And I said, "Well, can you meet me out there?" She goes, "All right, for you, McDonough, I'll do it." And I said, "Okay, see you there." So I meet her out there, and for some reason, I know it was the Lord, in my opinion. I had the impression to go to the right a little bit further than what we had searched. And she goes, "Well, we just searched over there the other day." I said, "Yeah, but the wind conditions were different." And within 15 minutes, the dog hit. We found her buried. Her name is Rebecca Jensen, 1995. Okay.
Yeah.
And she was there. And I got up to the graveside. I looked down. I could see all the ant activity. She had been stabbed and murdered and wrapped in a Marine Corps jacket, and then a blanket, and buried about a foot down. Okay. And so my thinking here is they may just try these three guys or others, maybe a detective will come in when there's no attention without the suspect, and they'll go do a cadaver search of that area extensively, maybe even bring in multiple dogs. And so it wouldn't surprise me if all of a sudden there's a press conference that says, we found the kid. But at this point, we don't have that evidence, but we have everything in motion. Look how many cars are on that freeway from law enforcement. You got one bad guy and how many cop cars, i.e. parked along the freeway?
A lot.
Yeah, you got a lot. You got chippies there. Those are chippies.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, there's
go ahead.
I mean, maybe that was just bad reporting or whatever, saying that both, because I heard, and I think people were speculating, people were like, well, he's confessed and, I don't know what he's has or hasn't confessed to. I think fully that he is trying to throw her completely under the bus with this.
Yeah.
And, he's, I mean, he's the one that's out there, not her. But they wouldn't just take him out there willy-nilly.
No, they're not spending the money, the resources, the time to go get hoodwinked. Okay. For all we know, he may be walking back the car and go, I don't even know why he's not here. This is where we put him. Okay. Well, we'll figure it out. Don't worry.
Yeah, exactly. We don't know that he hasn't said that to law enforcement, but in the, was it the case out of Georgia? I can't remember. It was, Leilani Simon with her little baby, when they were Quentin Simon, excuse me, when they were interviewing her and she was lying to them, because she lied quite often. She lied about going to the store to get like Orajel or, and they're like this and that. There was something like 23 times they recorded it. And they charged her with they let her tell the stories upon stories, and they stacked every single one of those charges. And I counted them. It was in the 20s, almost 30s. And if you don't think that they're doing that here as well, because when the truth is revealed and they find out that he's BSing them, they're going to add that to the list.
They already know. Think about that. Okay. They already know. If they believe, if they can show that this was a hoax to cover up a homicide of a child, okay, that means everything they say is go time. Everything.
Right.
Even if they're leading the cops along, like this, okay. No problem. No problem. In fact, you want that. How many times have we talked, right? That let them lie. That's good stuff, man. Yeah. Go down that road as long as you want. In fact, what do you need? Do you need like 15 cop cars? And do you need a jail suit? Do you need, whatever? Let's go off of the 60. Come on. You're going to take us to the 60? Awesome. Let's roll. Okay. How's he going to explain it? Because I'll guarantee what's going to happen in a courtroom. A prosecutor's going to blow this all up and say, this guy right here during opening statements, because that's where you win trials, during the opening statement with a jury. Okay. If you ever want to see when trials are won, go back and watch the opening statements. Okay. The closing statements, yeah, they're okay, but it's the opening statements where the jury goes, oh crap, we're going to hear that. Okay. And then they anticipate it coming. And if you can sell snowballs to an Eskimo, okay, then that's where it's sold right then and there in a jury, to a jury. And so they're going to say, you know what, ladies and gentlemen, you're going to hear evidence of deception. Let me play KTLA Channel 5. Okay. Let me show you how much resources were put into finding this baby. And in fact, he even took us out there. The evidence will show that the malice that he showed specific intent to deceive and to kill. That is an evil mind. And I will prove that during the course of this trial. Thank you for your patience. Boom. And I've seen, I've been in trials, trust me, for a couple of weekends. And, you see these good DAs go like that. And the defense stands up and goes, oh, but they didn't find anything. Okay. The
They
first witness.
They specifically changed laws because they basically were saying, and I've heard Billy Little say this, and I've heard it from others, you don't get credit for hiding a body.
No, that's right.
If you can prove that the person's dead without a body, and they can, and they do it all the time. Now, some states are a little bit more willing to go after it than others, but just because you can hide a body doesn't mean that you're not responsible for the crime. There's such a thing as proof of life. There's such a thing as,
we just did it with D. Warner.
I know.
We handed them the case, and they didn't have the body. We said, here's the case. And what happened? The Lord opened up that container with her body inside of that cylinder on that farm. The exact area where we were standing, Billy and I. And then when he pulls up and he gets mad at us, and I pretended I was going to be an insurance guy, and that went over like a dead bag of rocks. Okay. And he's like, you're not an insurance guy.
Yell at you and stuff too.
Oh, yeah, he read me like a book.
How much did you care?
Huh?
How much did you care?
I didn't care. Because shortly thereafter, we were sitting with the FBI, Michigan State Police, and the Sheriff's Department, and it's me, Billy, Greg's wife, and Greg Hardy's wife, and everybody's there. We're all sitting there, and I leaned across the table and I said, "So Dale, where'd she go?" This will all come out, by the way. Okay. What are you talking about? Well, where'd she go? See, I don't have to read Miranda anymore. They do, but I knew if I asked the question, they would take the note. And Dale leans over and he goes, well, she left. She went to South America with her girlfriends. I'm sure of it. Oh, really? Okay. What about her passport? I don't want to answer that question. And then, unfortunately, Shelley jumped in and gave him a little piece of her action there. And anyway, it ended at that point. But
it was a case. It was a case that I covered because of you. It was
Dale's in custody, charged with first-degree murder of his wife.
Absolutely, and that was before her body was found.
Correct.
And I remember this too. The funny, let's say it's funny because the whole thing is tragic, but he was offered deals, and then Billy told him, he goes, once we find her, there's no deal.
Here's always the big piece of that puzzle, right? Or any of these kind of pieces like this guy here. Okay. You can't fix stupid. Okay? you can't fix it. In fact, so you embrace it. Okay. You embrace it. Okay. And then you decide, okay, guess what we're going to do here. Okay. And you know what? This guy here, I think they're toast. Even if they let him out, hypothetical, which I don't see that happening, but is it a possibility? Probably not. Okay. Because see, we don't know what this guy's going through right there.
Exactly.
We don't know if he's got blood evidence inside of that little bag or that thing that he's looking at. We don't know. And that all of that's not going to come out right away. Not tomorrow.
The reason they want the body of Emmanuel is because they want to try to figure out how he was killed.
Right. Well, you anticipate what I was thinking, that part of why not having a body is such an issue is that you could have something, let's say you had an offender who tortured somebody to death, and not having the body, the story could become, yeah, I killed them, but it was an accident. Yeah, I killed them, but it was kind of more like an unintended thing. But a body could show marks all over it, cigarette burns, cuts, stabs, bruises, etc. So, Chris, that's more the issue is that without the body, you can't recreate the horrors that the victim experienced to really understand what the offender did.
Right. And reflecting off of that, Gary, and dovetailing into your thought, right. That's a Suzanne Morphew problem. Bam. Okay. When they found the chemicals in her bones. Okay. They found the chemical in her bone. Now think about that. Okay. So the science today is capable of so much stuff that, I think the average person would go, holy crap, they did that. I mean, when we had Dr. Rivers on, and we were talking about, bugs, right?
I love that
Gestation
episode.
periods.
I
Okay.
love that episode. I thought it was brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, but that's the depth of where science can take you today.
Yeah.
I mean, and if you go back to one of the things I think that is so frustrating for me when I found out about the car, and not to use the guy's name again, but Koberger. One of the things that was so frustrating is they found that car. Well, today there's a dependency on these things. It's almost like there's an over dependency on this. Okay. Remember, Google means go ogle. Go ogle. That's what it means. Okay. And so there's no critical thinking process anymore. It's easy for somebody to come in and go, and see if they get a reaction so they can sit back and go, oh my gosh, I got a dopamine hit. I feel so great. Okay. Well, okay, fine. You've probably got a meth pipe too simultaneously. So you can't do both. You got to give it a break. Okay.
Yeah.
And I mean, we have all of these subdivisions. And so we don't know what the totality of what these guys found in that car, in that house, but they found enough through their forensics teams. And let me tell you something about San Bernardino Sheriff's Department. Okay. Those guys are good. And I don't just say that. They are really good. They have resources. They have the tools. They have the money. Okay. It's all there. And they can get in there and make things happen. And today, technology is evolving. You know what they're using right now? And this is a warning to all you you child predators. They're using AI to communicate with child predators. Think about that. How cool is that? They have trained the artificial intelligence.
It's absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, to act like a 12-year-old.
All the people that they could round up doing that. So many.
They're doing it.
Yeah. No, I know it's a fantastic one. They finally found a good use for AI.
It's the next generation of capturing predators. And guess what? They're talking to computers. They don't know more. Are they talking to cops? Okay. The cops are setting the hooks and the computers are creating the books. Hook them and book them. Okay. It's awesome. It is so cool. And that is the next generation of artificial intelligence, how it's being used to capture child predators. That they think they're talking to a 12-year-old girl or boy, when in fact they're talking to a robot.
Well, that's part of the yin yang. When I talk about New Evil, I always point out that there's always a yin yang. If you look at a given case, almost always, where the very technology that was used to commit an offense can be used to undo the crime or catch the person. Amen. Right? Like, remember we talked, Josh, about Israel Keys.
Oh yeah.
We talked about how he commits this horrendous offense using a Polaroid, where he takes a photo of Koenig with the fishing wire, pulling her eyes open and her mouth open so she looks alive to collect a ransom, and then he cuts her up, throws her in the lake, and after while collecting, the family's putting the money together, but then he gets caught after he gets the money on a camera at ATM. So a camera is used in the offense, and the camera captures him. And there are many, 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 many cases like this where you see that thing. I mean, I think we could get into a discussion even about Koberger and about how, and there's that kind of poetic justice in his case, right? Because he's keeping photos of women and ogling through the internet and so forth, and you wind up seeing this guy get caught because of stupid images that he allowed to be taken of his car. He allowed himself to be surveyed and watched and seen through technology. And of course, there are all kinds of, with DNA technology also played a very big role. But I just think it's fascinating when you have a person who is manipulating technology to hurt people, they get screwed by it. It's an interesting thing when you think about it that way. But you get what I'm saying, Chris? It comes around to you.
Yeah, and if you think about,
he was using criminal science to hurt people,
right,
around to bite him, right?
Absolutely, and if you think about the sophistication that he felt that he had, the capability to erase everything, it was the Google browser that brought him down.
That's a great way to think about it, and that poetic justice is in many cases, and people don't notice it.
Whenever God closes a door, he opens a window. Every crime scene I've ever gone to, and we always go back to that conversation that I had, 1 year into my transfer into homicide, I got, for those of you in your audience that don't know the story, I'll just tell it real fast. Josh, is that okay?
Sure, please.
Okay. And there's that pretzel boy right now.
It looks nice.
So with this idea, I was at a homicide conference and I see Jigsaw John, who spent 43 years LAPD in homicide. I was 1 year into the job. And I thought, okay, this is the opportunity. So I went over and I sat next to him and I said, hey, can I ask you a question? He goes, yeah, kid, what's going on? Yada, yada. And I said, can you tell me some of your tricks, your secrets? And he goes, you really want to know? And I said, yeah. And I'm just going to fast forward the story, but it comes down to this question. He looks me right in the eyes and he's right next to me and he goes, okay, I'm going to ask you a question. I said, okay, sir. He goes, are you teachable? That's what he asked me. And I said, I kind of hummed it for a second. My pride was in the way. And I said, well, I think I am. And he goes, no, I'm going to ask you one more time. Are you teachable? So he asked me twice. And I said, yes, sir, I am teachable. He said, okay. And he's the one that taught me when everything is tight, buttoned up, as we used to call it, right? Bagged and tagged. The room's been photographed. The evidence has been collected. The bodies are gone. Everybody's gone pretty much. Okay. And it's just you and that room. He told me, I want you to take a chair and I want you to place it in that room and I want you to stare at each wall for about 10 or 15 minutes. Now imagine doing that in the Koberger case. Okay. Because that's what I used to do. That's why I had the solvability rate that I had.
At the crime scene, you have to look at all the walls around.
All four of the walls.
Without the house there, that can't do that.
What about what?
Without the house there, you're sure you can't do that.
No. This is when they've removed the bodies, everything is done, and everybody's, it's all buttoned up. All the evidence has been collected, et cetera. You're finished. And you're just about ready to turn that crime scene over. Okay. That's when you go sit in the room. And to this day, I can tell you minutia details about seeing things. Very small minutia details. Okay. Because my brain is structured that way now. Whenever I meet somebody and I walk into their house or their room, I'll immediately start looking at the walls. I'll go look at the bookcases, the shelves, and all this. And then I'll start a bridging conversation by saying, Hey, tell me about this. I see this picture up here on Time Magazine on the wall. Who is that? And that's a true story. I had a woman say, oh, that's my son. He works at the Mayo Clinic.
Wait a minute. When you were vetting me, that was a similar conversation that we had.
I do it because
yourself. And I said, okay. And I did.
Right. I asked that, and I'm generally or genuinely interested in people and learning about their lives and their stories. Okay. And it started, way back when, but at the same time, it started with this idea of, okay, there's a story here. We all wear masks. We all wear a mask. Doesn't matter who you are, what you are, where you are. You got something behind you. Okay. And as a result of that, you start to learn, how to trust people and or not trust them. And in this situation, this was a no-brainer. Even the people around her, when she was the mom and the dad, and they're going through their story, it's a no-brainer. Now, my daughter didn't have a lot of boyfriends. Just ask her. Okay, I'm done.
Did you ever answer? You ever seen that scene in Bad Boys 2 where Will Smith answers the door when somebody's getting ready to take his friend's daughter out, and he's acting like a drunk ex-con that just got out of jail and waving his pistol around? I don't think that you would have gone that far, but I mean, I could see some sort of.
What was that movie with?
I'm here.
Where the kid had the tattoo on the neck, and he goes into the motorhome, and
we're the Millers, yeah, no regrets, and he spelled it.
Yeah, no regrets, and it's spelled wrong, and the dad's going, no regrets.
Yeah.
Oh man, I got no regrets.
Not even a letter.
Yeah.
I love when somebody gives a synopsis of a movie or something and says, what movie was that? And then somebody gives the wrong answer, and it becomes extremely funny to think that was the plot of the movie that they accidentally named. Like if you gave that plot and somebody said, It's a Wonderful Life.
I love it.
Like, it would be extremely funny to me. I get a huge kick out of things like that. That's my sense of humor. Can I see the dog?
Yeah, sure. Hold on. Let me see. He's very heavy.
How? Oh God! Wait, this is
This is
Macho. Oh,
come here, buddy. Come on. Oh. Say hi. Hey, look right here.
Camera shy.
Say hi.
Aw.
Hi.
This is not the one that has a hearing issue.
No, he's in bed sleeping.
Macho.
This is Macho Man. He's our little killer.
Macho man.
Like he's a tank. Look,
he
looks really heavy.
He's a mush.
And he likes to be rocked like a child. Look,
he's a mush dog.
Is he a purebred dog?
Yep. Yeah, he is. Otis has all kinds of not all kinds, but he's got the vestibular problem with the ear issue. Macho is a bit like a cockroach.
I'm not your nacho, man.
He didn't like that. Macho, say hi, say bye to everybody. Come on, say bye. Look,
Macho.
right Macho, look right here. Say bye.
Macho. Hey man. Yeah. You want to buy a diamond?
Why are you blending into?
Want to buy a watch? Macho be slinging the rocks. Man, you want to buy a watch? You want to buy a fiver?
I was thinking about getting him a chain, like a gold chain, and
get him a Mr. T starter kit.
Well, that's what I was going to get him a flat top wig, like he could be I don't know, but yeah, I want to get him. Hey,
yeah, hook him up. Get him a strap. Get him a 9.
No, he's not. He doesn't like guns.
Hug life.
Hug life. Yeah.
I picture him more bald than having hair, though.
No, he's gonna get that. I don't know. He's gonna get that 1980s flat top with the gold chain, and we're gonna take me, Macho, Otis. We're gonna take a picture like Death Row Records did with.
Absolutely.
I see. I was picturing Kid and Play.
Remember when Suge Knight and Snoop and Tupac all like did that picture? I'm gonna be Suge, Otis is gonna be Snoop, and then Macho is gonna be Tupac.
Yep, do the crip walk.
Is this for your Christmas cards?
Yes, yes,
Yeah, you got to get him a Mr. T starter kit, man. He needs some jewelry.
he does. He does.
The poor fool.
He needs.
Don't eat my
He also,
cereal.
he also needs to go out and.
I had a
peace.
guy one night. I said, "What's your last name?" He goes, "Smith." I said, "Is that with 2 F's or 1?" He goes, "There's no F in Smith." I said, "Well, it sounded like it. I must be wrong. Fine citizen, sign here."
Yeah, and then he spelled it SMIFF.
Get the bling, exactly.
Yeah, we're gonna get him a big ass rope chain, and he's
Don't
gonna.
ball hawk?
No, I just like the flat who was it? It was like Tommy Hearns or I don't know, somebody like old school from the or maybe just a
for like a
mohawk.
fade.
Yeah,
Like
it's
a
just,
fade where it was flat and cut on the side.
yeah, Cake Spoo's right, like Bobby Brown. Here, I'll show you.
Yeah, Bobby Brown. There you go. Get the pants.
Brown, no cocaine.
I like
There you
how
go.
Chris does this technique where he talks to you as if what you're saying is completely legitimate, and then he gets you to say things that are humiliatingly ridiculous.
Well, I
And he
don't
goes right along and he goes, "Oh, that's a great idea. Well, I read it. Why don't you, and I'm sure you do that with offenders that you interview, Chris. It's like a little technique where you normalize, you make a person feel comfortable.
There he is.
Oh, I think it's a great idea. Why don't we get him a whole outfit? Why don't we get him an Undertaker outfit?
See, I don't think that's what's happening. I think that he genuinely wants it to happen, and I don't humiliate it at all.
Of course not.
Nobody,
that's part of the story.
Nobody can humiliate me more than me, and I do it constantly.
That's true.
Yeah,
I make an art of it personally.
Will Smith, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
That's what I was. You know what? That's a better one. Let me see. We'll see here. Fresh.
Who is this? This is Bobby Brown right here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is that?
Hammer time.
He looks like he's trying to be very seductive or something, but he looks kind of constipated.
Yeah, it's his prerogative, dude.
It's like a hemorrhoid face, but he's trying to look, alluring. It's
like
very
this.
disturbing.
There's Fresh Prince right there.
This is what we're talking about.
Keep my wife's name.
Right.
Yes. I can't look at him without picturing him getting up and just smacking.
Bitch slapping Chris Rock.
Yeah, we just kicking it.
Yeah. So that's what for Halloween. That's what he's going to be.
I didn't realize his ears were that large.
Really? He's been that's what they talk about with him all the time. They even reference it.
Large. They look like a pickup radio for Europe.
Have you ever watched The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air?
Yes. Oh, yes. I remember it. Sometimes I wake up screaming. But the thing is that seriously, there's something very, you could go spelunking in them.
I know, but they talk about this constantly. They even in Independence Day, they mention his ears.
Poor guy.
The writers wrote it in.
The aliens.
Poor guy. He's worth $600 million. I'm sure he'll be fine.
Yeah, I want those ears.
He's a good actor.
I met Chris Rock once at the after party for a comic relief. You remember the thing where they would raise money for the homeless?
Yeah.
Stand-up comedy. And he is actually like a shrinking violet. He is like a kind, soft-spoken person, and nothing like that persona that you see. Nothing. I mean, really, it's a very strange thing to meet celebrities behind the scenes. They're often nothing like they present.
Yeah, a lot of it is just a lot of it.
Josh has that problem. We got to keep him in the corral.
Don't you go to Comic-Con wearing a Spider-Man outfit?
I wouldn't be caught dead. No, I wouldn't be caught dead. No, if I went, my costume would be like that. I had the power of invisibility. I have no interest. But although I think it's a fun idea, I just wouldn't go dressed as something.
I could see you being Spider-Man.
If I were a superhero, it would not be Spider-Man.
Who would you be?
I think Spider-Man is an interesting character, and he does come from the same place I do.
All right, well, let's do this. If you were a superhero,
A superhero or a villain? The villains are more
you
interesting.
pick whoever you want.
I would, I don't know. I would just be myself. I don't aspire to be a
You're not going to get
mythological.
invited that way. So,
Well, there you go. That's the point. I think
Chris, what about you? Do you have?
something very profound.
I could see Chris being like Gambit from X-Men or somebody like that.
You know, I don't want the baddest dude in the country.
Professor X, huh?
Who's the guy that just kind of lays back and then all of a sudden spits fire or something? What's his name?
Back and spits fire?
Yeah.
No, I don't know.
An uncle of mine.
I don't know anything about superheroes other than Superman.
About
I guess to Laura Wildey's point, Sherlock Holmes is the closest to a hero that I
There you go.
imagine.
You know, that was one of my questions during my site.
superpowers.
And they said, name your heroes.
Yeah.
I said Jesus Christ and John Wayne.
I'm sorry. Now there's a sandwich right there.
Well, and I left that, you know, after, you know, the interview and the MMPI, whatever, you know, the 500 questions, whatever it is, you know, are you being followed by goats? All that stuff.
Are you being followed by goats?
No, I'm teasing.
I like to live deliciously.
Yeah. No. Do you, et cetera? Or do you have attraction to small circus animals? No, thanks. Not interested.
Not small one.
You do those things with people. Anyway, I left that day and I thought, I'll never get this job, man. And my phone rang. Hey, congratulations. You passed the psych test. Oh, wow. Okay.
Wow.
You know, and you know, we had to do that in our department. We had to do it once a year when I was a hostage negotiator. So I went 11 times because I was 11 years in the HNT team. And I think it was like 2 years after the doctor ended up hurting himself. And I was like, man, we were all like, we're going to that guy and he's evaluating us, and that we should have been his friend and stuck with him, the poor guy. And this was, you know, kind of sad in of itself, but yeah, no, I mean, Gary, you do it all day long. You know, you get the questions. Oh, so how you feeling? You know, any incidents that, you know, are malingering, or you're thinking about them, you having dreams, yada, 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 woofa, woofa. No, I'm doing good. Okay. That guy's, I have this, the Lord has given me a gift to compartmentalize. I don't know what it is, Gary. You can analyze me here on the channel over a public airways. I'm teasing, but at the same time, I don't know what it is. I have, you know, like when I saw the judge crying and I saw the DA crying and everybody's crying, I'm like, what are you doing? You're empowering the bad guy by doing that. And maybe it's because I've sat in front of too many of these really bad people. And I don't know what it is, but it's a gift. And you're able to say, okay. And then on the other side of the coin, remember I told you about the kids in the Motel 9? Okay. I could not resist. I brought my children back, right? And after CPS brought them back to the hotel, we impounded them for like 3 days, 4 days. The CPS did their thing, and then they put them back into the hotel. I brought them all Christmas gifts. Every one of them, there were 4 kids. They had nothing. And that was the right thing to do. So I have that side of me too, that, you know, is kind of weird.
Yeah. You know, I have to find it. I have a teddy bear that was given to me the night that my mom was killed by a police officer.
Yeah.
Those are superheroes.
Huh?
Those are superheroes.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I mean, you know, I really don't remember that at all, but I look back at it and I go, you know, like that was absolutely, like he apparently he kept them in his trunk for case, just
in a bag in a trunk.
yeah. Wow.
We used to have them. All the patrol guys had them. All investigators had them.
Such a nice thought. It's really a thoughtful thing. It really, really actually, thinking about it, meant and means a lot to me because, honestly, and I remember going to a meeting and they were saying, look, like that was your first dealing with law enforcement. And they, obviously don't want to traumatize anybody any more than they already are. And, he says that's how people really can end up on the bad side, thinking about cops in a wrong way because it's their first interaction is such a hectic time. And so that was sort of how it was explained to me. But I did think that was really thoughtful and that police officers do that. I mean, I don't know. I just
forgive me. What year did your mom pass?
88.
Yeah, that was about the time. It was the late 85, 86 is when officers started carrying those in their cars.
Yeah.
We didn't do that before that. That's interesting.
Crazy, huh?
But it's great. It's amazing.
It would have been somebody just like you showing up to the scene and, carrying kids out of the house and, that kind of stuff. And, I was always, my sister got one too. And so did my cousin. And, I don't know.
Shop with a cop?
What's that?
Did you ever do shop with a cop?
No, I've had coffee with cops. We've done that. Yeah. So it's kind of the same thing.
Well, for the little kids, though, shop with a cop where.
No, I don't think there was, no, what we did was the cops came actually and played basketball at our school against us. Like, they came and played. It was like firemen and the police and EMTs on one team. And it was just like and then we'd have a barbecue after. We did that 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. It's actually, it was their outreach program, and it was actually very cool. And then I did that. My kids got to do it. And people just got to kind of know each other. And, honestly, it does kind of break down some barriers and some walls there,
Good stuff.
I always thought it was great. Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, we have a really cool outreach programs here. And although somebody did the other day drive their car onto the courthouse lawn and set it on fire.
My kind of, I love stories where
job security.
Well, I love stories where they're like the most primitive possible thing happens. Whenever that happens, I want to be there. I'm fascinated. You know what I mean? Like I'm the kind of person, I'm at a party, I'm forced to be there. I'm like staring at the wall, bored, making small talk. And then somebody says, you know what happened to me today? Somebody ran in the backyard and blew up the chicken coop. And the chickens were flying all over the place and fed. We were screaming. There was fire. The car blew up. And then I'm like, turn and I'm like, tell me all about it. I just think the more crazy and you know what it is? There's something to do with the idea that when zaniness happens, it feels more true to me. It feels more real. That this weird, dark stuff. It's more honest. I don't like the small talk. It's lame. But then when the person goes, then they tell you that story, I'm the first one that wants to listen to it. It fascinates me. You know what I mean? I like being in the heart of when things get really outrageous. I think it's interesting. And that's where I belong. You too, Chris, right? Like you're drawn to help and to want. You need a problem or you have no use, right? Unless something's going wrong, it's like, what am I here for? I need to help.
Yeah,
that's how I am.
Yes, there it is.
There it is.
Like that's the kind of thing I'd be there watching that, and I'd be like trying to figure out how it happened.
Like I don't know what it said, but there was something about Vladimir Putin and Donald Trump on there. And they set it Nobody got hurt, by the way. That's why I'm laughing. It's just crazy, absolutely crazy. Look at that.
It's
Yeah.
pretty zany, you know. I mean, look at that. Wow. You know, this is the kind of stuff that New York is like a boring day. You know, I'll tell you, this is a true story. Okay, this cracks me up because it's horrible, but it cracks me up because it's so New York. Okay, one day I was walking to where I was going to work, and some kind, I think it was a bus or a dump truck or something, had unfortunately and horribly run over a pedestrian. Okay, and the police were talking to some guy over on the side, and he looked like he was in some trouble, like he wasn't just a witness or something. So I said, "Is that the guy who hit the guy who ran the guy over?" They said, "No, no, no, that guy's in trouble for something else." So I said, "What is it?" And they said, "Well, when the truck or whatever it was ran this guy over, this guy took his wallet." He took his wallet. So in other words, he finds the guy in the street. I mean, you got to picture this. This is New York, right? You know, New York, New York. If I could make it here, there, I'd make it anywhere, right? So the vehicle runs this poor man over, and he's in the street, deceased. And this guy walks by and takes his wallet. And I distinctly heard, as I'm walking by, distinctly hear the guy say something to the effect of, "Well, I didn't think he needed it anymore." This is New York, right? I mean, Chris, you can't make this stuff up.
No, you can't.
And then how about that? I'm down the block from where they arrested Herman. I eat pizza like in the same place where they took his abandonment DNA. You saw, Chris, the photo
Yeah.
where I posed in front of the trash can
Yeah.
where they got the abandonment DNA. It was up the block from, you know, it's just you can't make this stuff up.
You can't. It's
New York.
Yes.
You know, yeah.
This is a 69-year-old man.
What
That
is
lit him
going
on fire.
on
That
here?
lit it on fire.
Yeah.
He lit his own car on fire.
Where
Drove
is this?
Yeah, well, there he is right there in the middle of the street getting arrested.
Where is this?
This was in my town here in Eureka.
He's 5150.
Eureka.
Yeah.
Wackadoodle. Hey, we should do a program like this where we put stuff up like that and we comment.
Yeah, those are a blast.
Those are fun.
I love
You
that.
know?
You're gonna set it to music like on America's Funniest Home Videos, like the yakety sax or something, like background music, like all these horrors are unfolding. I mean, it's really sad, actually. It's just that what I was getting at earlier is that I just think that some people who are prone to be helpers are very drawn to this kind of stuff. You could be out eating dinner, on a date, whatever. Something happens and you're the one who has to run right out and kind of know what's going on and try to help and stuff. I have always been like that. Chris, have you always been like that too? Were you always a helper?
Yeah, I was always. Yeah, I have a servant's heart, I think is what
Yeah.
we
Me
call
too.
it. Right. Yeah, we're always going to be, and for some reason, the stuff just happens around you as a whole. I mean, I'm a lightning rod for both sides of the coin,
Yeah.
right? People either hate me or they like me. There's no middle ground with Chris McDonough.
Look at this comment.
I like
You
your
know what I mean?
lightning rod. That's hilarious.
It's been like that my whole life. There is no, you know, you always get, oh, that guy, you know, that guy, or whatever.
You
Okay.
always tell me that, and I know that it's true. I'm just so used to it.
Yeah, but you know what was really cool on the street? All the thugs, okay, they loved me. All the bad guys loved me. They're like, you know, oh, that guy's cool. You know, don't mess with that guy. You know,
Because you gave him respect.
but that's right, because I treated them like human beings
Of course.
through my whole, even today. Like, you know, I don't, you know, okay, fine. You know, have a great day. But I'll call them out and they know it. Okay. I don't have a problem doing that, but I'm not gonna pull them to my, you know, what I've earned my whole life to where I'm at. I'm not gonna, you know, who cares? You know, who's that guy again? Oh yeah. Yeah. Next.
Right.
You know.
You ever been out with your wife and in the middle of the date, some crazy thing
I
happened
sent
and you have to leave
Josh,
the
do you have that commendation? I sent you a couple of things. Yeah. Josh and I were talking about a week or two ago. I think I sent it to him.
On email, right?
Yeah, I think it was on email. Yeah, but the one where the guy's on the I-5 bridge, That was only, I mean, there was a lot of them. We were going to dinner.
That's what I'm talking about.
And Karen's like, do you see that guy on the bridge? And I didn't see him. I was like, no, I missed him. She goes, there's a guy on the bridge back there. I said, okay, well, let's go find out. And so I got off, turned around, came back. And sure enough, there's a guy on the other side of the bridge.
I'm looking here. I only have the one where you were the officer of the year.
Oh, that's not important. Yeah. Anyway.
But I mean,
yeah, there he is, Officer Friendless. Yeah. And yeah, that was a while ago. 98, 99.
You look the same.
So I had 17 years on the job at that time. And by the way, that was the same year I arrested, allegedly, all the other things, those other things. You know, the Crow case.
Oh, yeah,
right?
yeah.
Put that back up for a moment. Yeah. This is the same year that I allegedly, according to YouTube now,
got fired. Yeah.
Okay. All the YouTube detectives, prosecutors, judges,
right.
You know, they all said I had arrested 3 boys and put them in prison.
Yeah.
This is the same year that they gave me Officer of the Year. Same year.
How does that work?
I don't know how it works, but apparently the media didn't catch it. You know, they missed that part. You know, so yeah, I mean, if you roll up, I don't even think it mentions it talks about, you know.
And there's a lot of investigators in Oceanside.
Yeah, we have a bunch.
Of course.
You know, we had 7 in homicide, and then we had family protection. We have, you know, probably 42 people. 42 investigators. But I was also, that same year, I was the employee of the year for the city, the entire city. Okay. So I was officer of the year for the department, and I was employee of the year for the city, but I was arresting innocent kids in another city and putting them in jail, according to YouTube. So anyway, that's gonna really bore you.
Doesn't bore me. It doesn't bore me. I just find it hilarious that it's really, when I say hilarious, it's actually really not funny, but it's funny how willfully ignorant people are, that they don't just do their own research about something and they take advice from some sort of crackpot, whatever person that's probably detoxing on meth. I don't know. Probably.
Yeah, I mean,
you detox on meth, Dr. Gary? Do you ever? I mean, is that a thing?
Is what a thing?
Detoxing from methamphetamine?
It's really a medical question, but I mean, you know,
you're a doctor.
Yeah, but that's a medical doctor question. That's not a clinical psychologist question.
You've never had somebody go, "Hey, I'm detoxing from meth."
I mean, I suppose. Let me think about it. You know, I mean, I would suppose that a person would need medical treatment to get off of methamphetamine.
I like doing this to him.
Hey, Josh, there should be a couple more underneath that.
Let me see here.
Check.
Hold on.
One of them, I think.
Let me stop sharing really quick.
From when we were talking. Let me see. I think that may be the bridge.
Let me see.
But the point is, Chris, you were out on a date and your evening got interrupted by having to do something like that. We've all had these experiences. I mean, I'm just saying, when you're a helper person, it doesn't stop when the hours are over for the job. It's just your personality. And that's what I'm saying. People like you and I who do this, and Josh, you've got a little of this going on too. What happens is that we gravitate towards the people that are in chaos because we want to help them. So I'm just saying it's like people who are having an ordinary life, they start to become almost strangers to you. You're so used to dealing with people that are dealing with primitive things.
Is this what you're talking about?
So you don't know how to relate when the person is like, yeah, everything's great. My biggest problem is what flavor noodle salad am I bringing to the picnic? And you're like, how am I supposed to relate to this? I deal with people that are on fire. So I think that's what it is. Chris, you know what I mean, right? You spend all day in the ditches, and then it's hard to make small talk. You know,
there are so many good people, right, out there that we don't look, drugs and that kind of stuff. There I am as a young
dude. Look
officer.
at that hair.
I don't know what's up with that. That's you got a little Luke Skywalker going on there.
You weren't even born.
Station to pick up some.
I was going to say Michael Landon.
Oh gosh, I don't know about that one.
No, but seriously, there is a Luke Skywalker thing going on there. Don't you see it?
Yeah, it was in the hair. It's in the hair. You got to understand from all through the 80s, all through the 90s, Oceanside was it was literally, if you go back and look at the statistics, in the United States, we were the most violent city per capita in the US. And all the statistics prove it. We were literally going out every single night, and it was a war zone. It was an absolute war zone. And on a weekend, we would have 35 robberies in a single weekend. Okay. Most of it, hookers ripping off Marines. But, when I would come in, on Monday mornings, because I ended up picking up rank, and we would have a PhD piled higher and deeper of all these cases. Okay. That would be piled up on, in the in basket. I think I sent you a couple more, Josh. Let
me see.
There's a couple of them in here. That I guarded Tom Cruise during the filming of Top Gun.
It's one of my favorite stories because wasn't he a jerk?
Yeah, he was a jerk. He was an idiot. And now the guy didn't even say one word to me. I spent 2 days with him, my partner and I. And when they were filming, the motorcycle scene where they're coming up to the Tom Cruise house, or the Top Gun house, the blue house with Kelly McGinnis on the porch, and they pull up there. I babysat that guy and Kelly McGinnis for 2.5 days. Guy didn't even say hi, didn't even peep, nothing. It was like, yeah, okay.
Are these the ones that you just sent me the other day?
I think so.
Because I only have 4 total, and that was all of them.
Yeah, I don't know. It's not important, but yeah, no, that's the other thing I always ask people on YouTube. If you're going to listen to somebody, have them show you the receipts. I've got tons of receipts. I mean, thousands of them right here. All these books down here are commendations for over 25 years worth of work. Okay. They're all right behind me. Josh has a couple, but like Gary said, vet who's out there. And then if you want to know, just ask. Don't accuse, just ask. Ask the questions. Like people have accused me of putting, Michael Crow and Josh Treadway and Aaron Hauser in jail. Okay. You can ask me. Okay. Here's a call coming in. Okay. It wasn't even my agency. I didn't even arrest them. Okay. I did a CVSA. It's like a polygraph. That was my extent of involvement in that case. Period.
It's not the dumbest thing people pick on you about. I've seen even dumber than that. I mean, I'm not going to bring them up, but Chris, I mean, you know how it's like there's like these specific things that like your naysayers will say, and they think they're being really clever, but they're like the stupidest thing, easily dismantled. And there are a couple that people say about you that are just one more ridiculous than the other. But that one comes up a lot. The Crow thing is pretty
comes up all the time.
Yeah, but I've seen even more ridiculous than that one.
Well, and it even comes up when I testify, right? That's the first thing the defense wants to bring up. Well, you were involved in the Michael Crow case. And you know how I answer it? Yeah, I was right. And they go, what do you mean by that? You're a little arrogant, aren't you? Well, no. the state put Richard Tewitt on trial, and guess what? He was found not guilty. So who's left? No further questions. You see, they don't want to go down that road. They don't want to talk about Richard Tewitt, a schizophrenic that they accused of killing that little girl. He was an easy target. But guess who defended him?
You did.
That's correct. I was the one that stood up and said, hey, wait a minute, we got a problem here. I got a problem here. You got a problem. We all have problems.
Yeah.
But that's it. Anyway, so you didn't get the other ones? I thought there was really
I only got
interesting one that I thought the audience would.
I only ended up with 4.
Maybe I didn't do it. I'm sorry.
That's all right. We'll do it again. All right, guys. Anything going out? We've been here almost 3 hours. I know I've had you guys for a long time.
It was a pretty freewheeling kind of chat, but I think it all centers around a series of themes that are really kind of interesting. And what we keep touching on over and over again is that in all different ways is that there's something kind of sick in the culture. It gets reflected in these specific cases that we discuss. It gets reflected in the way people react to what we say about these cases, manifesting in, people who say ridiculous things about Chris, trolls, whatever, which is also part of the sickness of the culture, right, Chris? I mean, it's all a reflective of the same thing. And then, you wind up with this idea that we wind up feeling kind of isolated and unappreciated and, and not exactly,
Yeah, but don't underestimate me.
Not winning podcast of the year.
I always tell people, I had one guy take shots at my wife.
Yeah.
And I found him in Florida. And I called him.
I remember this.
Remember that, Josh?
Yeah.
And I said, listen, you little squirrel, I'm going to be on your front door tomorrow. If you at any time believe
the best.
Squirrel? You called him a squirrel?
Well, I called him a couple of things. And I said, if you try that one more time, I promise you, you will see me on your front lawn.
Guy moved out of the country. Swear to God.
He did. He left out of the country. And some of these other trolls, they underestimate me because, they say I'm whatever, right? And then all of a sudden I'm on the phone with them and they're like, holy crap, where did this guy come from?
Keep my wife's name out.
You don't touch my wife. You say whatever you want about me. I could care less. Okay. I could care less.
He absolutely did leave the country. I don't know the exact reason, but I'm sure it didn't. I'm sure that's.
I remember a guy that was on a live and the Texas cop showed up in his garage.
I remember that one too.
While he was on a live. And I was on the phone with the detective who was a friend of mine.
And he was screaming on live, don't ever send the cops to my house again. It was so funny.
Yeah. So I am a very patient human being to a point. You start involving other things in my circle of influence. Okay. Don't you just sleep with one eye open is what
I've seen him. I've seen you pissed.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it takes
I didn't put people on death row by accident. And whenever people, I love to be underestimated. Absolutely love to be underestimated. Okay. It's great. Okay. Just like I did on Sunday with the, we're not going to tell you anything. They refuse to talk to me, the agencies. Well, we're not going to talk to you. We're not going to. Okay, fine. I'll just go get your emails. And boom, Sunday, I revealed everything and said, hey, guess what? You guys had the car. Why didn't you do what you were supposed to do? And I called them out on it because that's the right thing to do. Don't underestimate me is what it comes down to. The reason I trained the homicide task force for the Native Americans, I was the very first homicide guy to train them in how to investigate homicide. Greg did the psychological stuff. We had all the other things. I was the guy selected on that team to train homicide. Okay. It's not my first rodeo. Okay. I'm training people how to do it. So I will hunt you down and I won't stop until each rock has been lifted and I can smell it. I can see it. I photographed it and I've measured it.
You sound like
and then
Liam
I put it
Neeson.
in a bag.
What
Huh?
was that line, that Liam Neeson line about the "I will find you"? And I will. What's that they make memes out of it? You know the one I'm talking about?
Yeah.
What movie is that? Wrong answers only. No, seriously. What movie is that? You know what I'm talking about, right?
Taken is the name of the
Yeah,
movie.
that's it. Yeah.
I had a cartel guy one time look at me and he says, he just does this to me. Right? Gave me one of those. Okay. And I looked at him and I said, is that it? And he goes, you know what I mean? I said, okay, fine. No problem. Okay. He's in Pelican Bay.
That's where my dad's at.
All right, I'm going to bounce. Good night. Aloha.
All right. Take care, Chris. Thank you. Hey, Dr. Gary.
It's been real.
Been fun.
All right. Well, Josh, thank you. Well, that was abrupt.
Wait.
Chris, like, poof. Like, it was like,
I think it's way past his bedtime.
It was literally, he just vanished like like a magician.
like Liam Neeson, yeah. Oh, it goes, I don't know who you are. I don't know what you want.
That's it.
If you're looking for a ransom, I can tell you I don't have any money. But what I do have is a very particular set of skills I have acquired over a very long career, skills that make me a nightmare for people like you. If you let my daughter go now, that'll be the end of it. I will not look for you. I will not pursue you. But if you don't, I will look for you. I will find you and I will kill you.
Obviously doesn't mean anything violent. He just means that he'll pursue, justice and a person who's, trying to hurt
but that was still a pretty badass speech, wasn't it?
Well, in the case of Liam Neeson, I don't think I think he meant something more aggressive.
He certainly did.
Around there, we look like we're in a club.
I don't know, dude.
Or romper room. I can't really tell. It turned this Grimpus color.
A rompus room.
Grimpus purple. In all seriousness, that's a side note. Is Grimpus not a terrifying character?
Who?
Grimpus, that big purple thing at McDonald's. That is a deeply disturbing character. I don't like
Grimace.
Grimpus, whatever his name is, that big purple thing.
Yeah.
What is that thing's name?
I think it's the Grimace.
Yeah, and then he's got like, when I was a kid, they had like a playground, like a jungle gym or something in the backyard of McDonald's. And you would go inside. There was a cage, like a cage ride, and it was inside.
Oh, I have more of a problem with that. Yeah.
He's terrifying.
I have more of a problem with the hamburger.
The hamburger is pretty scary. He looks exactly like someone I went to school with.
The hamburger does?
Yeah, he's got those teeth and that. Oh, terrifying. Just out of curiosity, who did you find in your childhood? Which character on a children's show did you find scary? Would you like to lay down on a couch here? And I'll ask.
No, but there was always this one movie. I think the name of the movie was Little Monsters, and it was like that blue dude from that movie.
I lived it. Yes.
That one bothered me, but I think the Grouch, the dude that lived in the trash can, he was an ass. I don't like him very much.
I love the Grouch.
Of course you do. Whatever I like, you are the antithesis of that.
The Grouch is like, he's like my spirit animal. You'd knock, you'd be singing and dancing. The letter A is the first letter in the alphabet, and you'd knock on the thing, and he'd be like, "Go away!"
Yeah, and all you need to do,
get lost.
Yeah, all you need to do is live in a trash can. You'll be there.
he was sort of cute. You have to admit, some of those Muppets are pretty adorable. They're lovable. There's no Muppet you like?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know any besides Oscar.
What? What kind of life is this?
Was it Bert and Ernie? Are they part of it?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're all right. I like them.
They have some kind of relationship going on. They
That's
love
what I've heard. Yeah.
Ruffy Ducky, they love each other. What can I tell you? But
Love is love, brother.
listen, that's more power to them. But
You know what I always found fascinating, though, and then we'll end here because Macho is going to rush to this door. But
okay.
imagine how well life worked out for Siegfried and Roy. 2 lion tamers who both happen to be gay.
But didn't one of them get like eaten? Or
Yeah,
like
well, not that part. I'm just saying that, like, what a match made in Vegas.
You mean that two
wait a
people who happen to tame lions fell in love
How
with
did
each
that
other?
happen?
What are the chances?
Yeah, and this is pre-internet. Wasn't like you could just go to Craigslist and say, hey, I'm looking for a partner that first of all is a lion tamer and are gay.
So you're saying that it's so utterly specific that the idea that they would find each other is fascinating to you.
I think about it all the time.
Well, it is true. I mean, sometimes you get these couples where one of them is into something really, really specific, and the other one is like the only other person in the world who does that for a living. I'm like, I'll be like, oh, what do you do for a living? I restore 14th century manuscripts, but not all of them, only the leather cover.
Yeah.
This is my wife. And I'll be like, what do you do for a living? She's like, I restore 14th century manuscripts, but only the pages. And I'm like, okay.
Have you ever seen a homeless a cappella group? I have.
What?
They were like, there was this group of homeless people that sang a cappella on the street corner.
Did they go
and
on
they were all good. And I don't know how they met.
What do you mean? How did they meet? What? So you're saying that you're fascinated by the idea that a bunch of homeless people gravitated towards,
but they were good. They were good a cappella.
They could sing.
Yes.
That's what I find more interesting. When did one of them go la, and the other one's like, whoa, yo, I can sing too?
Other one popped out of a bush and he's got like crap all over. He's all, hey, I can sing too. La, 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 la.
Right. Like, what is the moment at which you discover that you have that thing in common? That's more interesting to me.
And then the guy from the back alley's going, hey, I can sing too. La, 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 la. And they're like, we should all hang out and do this together.
Well, backstories are interesting. That I think about that all the time. I'll watch a sitcom or a movie or whatever, and I always think it would be really interesting if they did the story of like how all these people met, because we just take it for granted that they're all together. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
but I want to know the origin stories. I think Chris and you and I, people wonder sometimes how the heck we all met because we're all so different.
Yeah.
I mean, we're an odd trio, right? I mean, you'd never put us all together.
Yeah, probably not. I mean,
we'd be a great sitcom, I think. Don't you think? I would watch if they got some actors to play.
Yeah, well, I think it's funny because
personalities.
Well, it was not to rehash this or anything, but like when when that guy was giving you crap earlier, right?
It's all he had. There's all these.
Yeah, but the funny thing is, people are like, "Oh, Dr. Gary's upset and all this stuff," and I'm going, "Yeah, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. It's fine. I don't care." I mean,
I have an issue with injustice.
That guy was a dick.
Right.
He's followed you everywhere. I understand why you were pissed. He would not stop. And it seemed like he was almost making more accounts.
No. But if I had a Moriarty, if I had a worthy, like a person who was an adversary that was interesting, I would lament their departure. I wouldn't be right. But what you're talking about is an imbecile. I mean, it's not any fun. If the person at least were interesting and made a point that was, but otherwise it's just annoying, But seriously, Josh, if they did a TV show,
all right,
of our lives, I would struggle to think about who would play you. I have to be honest. Who do you think should play you?
I don't even want to look at the chat.
They're not saying anything.
Well,
I think
they
it's an interesting question to think about who would play you. First of all, you're kind of inimitable, and I'm not talking physically, but in terms of personality and all that, it's hard to think about who would play you.
First thing that came up was Jack Black. Like, that was just ridiculous.
You think that Jack Black would play you? Why?
No, I don't. But somebody in the chat just said that. I mean, we've done this. Look, I want Denzel Washington to play me. Okay,
Denzel Washington.
Yeah, I get it. Right. I'm not black. Blah 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 blah. Let's.
No, that's not what I meant. I couldn't care less about that. I just think that's an odd choice for you.
Why?
Because your personalities are so completely different.
He's an actor.
You think that he could have your personality?
Tom Segura? What the hell? That guy's not even an actor. He's a comedian.
Did you see some of the doozies people were comparing us to earlier in the chat?
No.
Well, no, seriously, I think that there is something to your character that it's very compelling if you were a character in a movie or something, because underneath, how do I say this? There are some people that manage, when they are being funny and warm and whatever, to convey a kind of brokenheartedness that is relatable and human. And I always like that about you. I think you manage to sometimes, at the same time that funny stuff is coming out of your mouth, that you really are here to help people, that you've experienced heartbreak, that you're deep, that you're sensitive. You know what I'm saying? You could be like blasting a troll and at the time come across like it's really coming from your heart, that you've been hurt, and I think that's very hard to convey. It takes a certain kind of actor. Denzel Washington plays like people of authority that are so completely convinced of justice and truth and whatever, that it's like a marble column. It just is like, this is what is true, and he sort of stands for that. You've got a different thing going on. Your thing is like the person that you look at them from one end. It's like the drama masks, the comedy and the tragedy at the same time. They're a different kind of character.
I just want to ask PK really quick. Why would a 75-year-old man be a good fit to play me? Just wondering.
Who is the 75-year-old?
John Goodman.
That's a ridiculous statement. First of all, John Goodman, same problem. He does not have the tragic comedy thing. You remember the great comedian, silent movie comedian Buster Keaton? Did you ever hear of him? Okay.
Yeah.
I love him. He's one of my favorite of all people in Hollywood history. And they interviewed him once, and they asked him, what is the difference between comedy and tragedy? He said that the only difference between them was that tragedy was a close-up and comedy is a long shot. But they're the same thing.
Yeah.
See? And I think that's what you need. You got to get somebody that manages to convey those two things at the same time. I have to be played by somebody that's kind of cerebral and kind of, stone-faced.
Danny DeVito.
Yeah. No, come on. Danny DeVito is like a shrub.
Well, look, dude, you subjected me to this. So somebody said Seth Rogen. I don't want to be played by Seth Rogen. I don't look anything like Seth.
Terribly sorry, but I would like to think that I could be played by somebody a little better than Danny DeVito. That's really hard.
I was just picking at you because you knew by asking that question that it was gonna, and I said right away.
I meant your personality. I'm not talking about appearances. It's just that people take things to a superficial place. I'm not talking about that.
Somebody said Dom DeLuise once. I never got over it. Yeah. Or Wolfman Jack.
I don't think you look like any of these people. I love the person who says that should be played by Morgan Freeman. I actually had one answer, in all seriousness. There was one answer somebody gave once to this joking question that I didn't mind because I thought I could picture it. Somebody said the same thing. Who would play these people in a movie? And somebody said that they could picture Mark Ruffalo. And I like Mark Ruffalo because Mark Ruffalo Mark Ruffalo can be serious and frenetic and kind of Italian, and I could see. What about you?
Yeah, and I liked him in Zodiac. He was really good. And you guys kind of have the same hair and vibe too.
I get the same vibe going. And in real life, he kind of acts like. I could see him getting along with him, and him would sort of imitate it. But for you, you're a difficult one.
Yeah,
to capture your personality. I have to give it a little bit of thought. Chris, I could think of a number of people.
Tommy Lee Jones, done, over.
No, because with Chris, the person would have to convey a whole series of emotions all at the same time, and it's very complicated.
Yeah, but Tommy Lee Jones can do that.
I love Tommy Lee Jones. Don't mess with Tommy Lee Jones.
I do too.
I think he's brilliant.
I do too.
And I'll tell you, I'm a sucker for Men in Black, especially Men in Black 2 when he's working in the post office.
I'm really glad that you clarified that, because I thought that you were just saying that you're a sucker for men that wear black. I love a man in uniform.
Maybe women wear black. I do love a Morticia.
I'm wearing black.
But Josh, terribly sorry, but my dance card is full. And sorry, Denzel.
No,
we'll have to sit this one out.
I don't. Somebody said Denzel Savvy. I don't actually like. It's sort of in jest, but Denzel's a great actor. And you didn't ask me like from what region, what era that I wanted, and it would be the Preacher's Wife era.
Well, that's a little different.
That's young Denzel, dude. Anyway, all right, I'm out of here. I got
fun to talk about. Anyway, in the meantime, and I'm sorry, by the way, I don't know what this. You see this? This is just like a lamp, but it makes me look like Carol Ann getting sucked into the television. Like in Poltergeist. I don't know what this is behind me. Like that's so green and portal-like, but it's just literally like a tiny little desk light. So I'm sorry about that.
I could see Cole Hauser. Cole Hauser from Yellowstone.
Yeah,
we sort of have like the same beard, but he's much better looking than I am.
You're still stuck on the physical appearance of the actor who would play you.
Because yes, I am. Okay, I want Anthony Hopkins to play me. Okay, you feel better?
I think Anthony Hopkins would be great to play you.
Yeah, but he's 90.
What happened to your era question? Anthony Hopkins in the 80s. Anthony Hopkins in the Elephant Man.
He's always been old to me. I don't know. Like, I don't even know what he looks like. Not old.
You're going to wear that Hannibal mask?
I would, yeah.
You own that, don't you?
No, I don't have a Hannibal mask now.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm sure you do, but I don't.
I don't actually.
Now I know what to get you for your birthday.
You're going to get me a Hannibal mask?
Only if you wear it on the air.
My dance card is full. I'm terribly sorry.
It's always
terribly sorry.
Kevin James. You know why Kevin James? Because he's fat.
That nobody thinks you're fat. First of all, you've lost a great deal of weight.
Yes, I have. But
why are you knocking yourself?
I'm not knocking myself.
Okay, good.
I don't care. I don't care about that. It's really just for health.
In all seriousness, Josh, I think that you're a very good man, and I think that on your worst day, you're better than a lot of people I know, and I think that whoever played you, the whole reason it would be complicated is that the person would have a difficult time conveying the nobility of your spirit. So don't worry too much about all these stupid things that people say. They're only kidding.
Yeah,
but the reality is you're a complicated little bugger, and it would be hard for somebody to play you. Okay? Now, in the meantime, after we sucked into my green world behind me, I don't know. Wouldn't it be funny if that's how this ended?
Why is it worse?
And like went into that green light, and that was
why is it getting worse?
What?
It's getting worse, like the light behind you.
I know, it's really crazy. I think it's my time, child.
Yeah,
like Like literally just like the space, like the mothership comes and I just board it and leave. Come on, that would be funny. You have to admit.
Russell Crowe would be good. I like Russell Crowe.
Yeah, see Russell Crowe. That's good. Go with Russell Crowe.
That would be good.
Be happy with Russell Crowe. Although Russell Crowe playing John Nash, a schizophrenic, was a stretch.
Yeah, that's true. He did all right though.
Did you know that? Well, I actually can't say, because a lot of times when I would work in the hospital and I specialized in psychosis and violence, we had a lot of people who were making movies about psychosis and violence come and consult, and I got to meet all kinds of actors, and you would be shocked the movies that really, really famous movies that you've seen, that the people came and said, teach me how to, like, is this realistic of a person who's having these kind of symptoms and whatever. It is interesting to me. If I had been given the opportunity, I would have said Russell Crowe is a strange choice.
Tom Hardy. I like Tom Hardy. That's good. He's a great actor. I'm not even talking about his physical appearance. I think that Tom Hardy is a fantastic actor.
See, now this is good.
One of my favorites.
Now, when we get off and you apologize for the Danny DeVito thing, we can move on with friendship. But other than that, I mean, because I'm terrible.
You don't look like Danny DeVito.
What happened?
I said you don't look like Danny DeVito.
Oh, I know. We're just joking here.
Yeah,
and I think he's hilarious. Probably one of the funniest people.
He's a genius. He's a comical genius.
In that Philadelphia show, what is that called?
That's Always Sunny. Yeah,
I think he's like the funniest person.
Jason Momoa.
Hey, that's not so bad.
He's not a good actor though, is he?
He's, who cares? I mean, nobody
now you're going
acting. Nobody cares about his acting. They think of him like they're interested in him physically.
Yeah, I think we'll stick with Tom Hardy and we'll move on from there. I got to take Macho and Otis out. Dr. Gary, thank you so much, and we'll reconvene soon.
Okay.
Appreciate it. Bye-bye. Wow, that's up close and personal. Thank you guys so much for being here. It was a 3-hour show. Awesome. Very nice. Enjoyed it very much. And we will see you guys next time. I appreciate you all being here. Thank you for hitting that like button. We're at 8:35. And just two phenomenal guests, Dr. Gary and Chris McDonough, both of the Cold Case Foundation. You can catch Chris McDonough on the Interview Room, and you can actually catch Dr. Gary on there a lot of the times as well. Also, you can catch them both here and everywhere else. All right, guys. So thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it. And we'll see you next time.